issue that I've been talking about
I'm
for
sure
some
you.
time.
I'm sure you appreciate it.
You know, in our view, there is a right way and a wrong way under the First Amendment to express your views, no matter how passionate or even angry you are. And violence and threats of violence is not the right way. And
what's up, you
we don't
guys? We
care
are going to be watching
what
this today.
you're upset
I
about
want to
or
watch
who you're
this,
upset with.
so I'll probably play some
When,
games
from
while
the
I'm
FBI's
watching this. But this is
perspective,
what's
when it
happening
turns to
today.
violence and
It's going to be
threats
about
of
6 hours
violence,
long, so
that's
we're going to be here
when
for a
we
while.
have to draw the line. That's when we get engaged. And there is an alarming phenomenon that we've seen over the last several years of that kind of passion and heated rhetoric turning into actual violence and threats of violence. We've seen it against public officials of all sorts. We've seen it against law enforcement. The number of officers shot and killed in the line of duty in this country is frankly outrageous and alarming. And I know that because every time
That's
an
not what we're
officer
here to
is
talk
shot
about.
and
We're here
killed
to talk
anywhere
about
in
why
this
you
country,
fucking almost
since the
assassinated
day I
the fucking
started as
president.
FBI director, I personally call the chief or the sheriff to express my condolences and to talk.
I'm still
to
getting chat set up, guys. I jumped on really fast this morning when this started.
And the number of those shootings that are ambush related, meaning somebody is targeting law enforcement because they're law enforcement, is particularly alarming. I have made around 400 of those phone calls. It's almost every 5 days that a law enforcement officer is killed in the line of duty. And that is an example of the kind of ways in which
yeah, they're killed by, I mean, not to be a dick, not to be racist, they're killed by black Democrats, bro.
Yes,
it just is what it is. It's the fucking truth.
You're the victim.
These threats, but I'm concerned that we do not
in all this.
the tide. What is the FBI doing to ensure that members of Congress, their families, and their staffs are safe?
So we have a very close relationship with the Capitol Police. And we have members of the Capitol Police, for example, who are on some of our task forces.
All right, I'm going to get this set up, because I'm going to play Call of Duty while I listen to this, so I'm going to try to get this set up a little different. Give me a second, guys.
With Capitol Police and others in law enforcement. Obviously, if we have specific information about an effort to target a member of Congress, then we're getting with Capitol Police in a much more specific way. But those are some of the things that we're doing.
Thank you. Now,
Okay.
Director, your
Trump takes a bullet to the head, and Nadler says he's the victim.
Republicans in Congress, including members of this
There we go.
have repeatedly called for defunding the FBI. What impact would defunding, or even just
they should defund the fucking FBI.
Ability to conduct this and other investigations?
So I understand that there are heated views, opinions about us, just like there are about every institution in today's America. But cutting our funding is incredibly short-sighted, and the people it really hurts are state and local law enforcement and the American people we're all sworn to protect.
Thank you. During my
They should be
remaining
fucking,
time,
not only should they be disbanded, they should be fucking from the top down, completely restructured. Everyone at the top should be fired out of the FBI. Everybody.
DEI candidate,
Oh,
which presumably is
my
women and person of color.
heavens.
It's not a new theme for them. In May, Chairman Jordan wrote to you claiming that because of DEI initiatives, the FBI is no longer hiring, quote, the best and brightest candidates to fill the position of special agent. With my remaining time, Director Ray, can you please answer the following questions? Is it true that hiring women and people of color means that FBI is no longer hiring the best and the brightest to serve as law enforcement officers? Is there any evidence that women and people of color are less effective in law enforcement roles? And what message does it send to prospective applicants when their leaders demean them and make judgments about them based solely on their race or gender?
Witness may respond.
So any notion that we have lowered our standards, our hiring standards, is just not accurate. In fact, our standards are as competitive and selective as ever.
This guy has the most punchable fucking face in America. I'd love to punch this dude right in his fucking mouth.
Which is more selective than just about any university in the country. And most of our applicants, I think something like 50% of them are coming from military or law enforcement backgrounds. About 50% of them also have advanced degrees.
All right, guys, I'm almost done setting up, and we'll get some games going in the background.
The average age is around 31, which means they're bringing a wealth of personal and professional experience when they arrive. And to suggest that those people, because of efforts related to diversity or anything like that, are less qualified, frankly, is not at all consistent with what I see. Having visited all of our field offices and seen these young people in action, I think is an insult to those hardworking men and women who've signed up to dedicate their lives for for this country.
Thank you, Director. I yield back.
Kamala Harris is a DEI hire. Joe Biden said.
Tell me about the drone. You act like you wanted to.
Okay, here we go. Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan.
So we have recovered a drone that the shooter appears to have used. It's being exploited and analyzed by the FBI lab. The drone was recovered in his vehicle. So at the time of the shooting, the drone was in his vehicle with the controller. In addition, our investigation has uncovered.
You know what time of day he flew it, and if he flew it on the day of the shot.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So,
go ahead.
So in addition, it appears that around 3:50 p.m., 4 o'clock in that window, on the day of the shooting, that the shooter was flying the drone around the area
2 hours.
for about 11 minutes. I want to be clear, but when I say the area, not over the stage and that part of the area itself, but I would say about 200 yards, give or take, away from that. We think, but we do not know. So again, this is one of these things that's qualified because of our ongoing review, that he was live streaming, viewing the footage from that, again, about 11 minutes and around the 3:50, 4 o'clock p.m. range.
2 hours before, he's flying a drone in the vicinity of the route.
About 200
this
yards
is
away.
insane.
Okay, that's
this is insane.
What about the bombs that we've heard about in the shooter's car?
So again, the FBI lab is exploiting those explosive devices. Yep. There were we've recovered 3 devices, 2 in his vehicle and 1 back in his residence.
Are these what you would call, your experts would call, sophisticated operations, or this? I don't know. I that's what I've been told by people who have some understanding of this area.
Yeah, I think it's we've seen more sophisticated and less. I would say these are relatively, again, keyword relatively, crude devices themselves, but they did have the ability to be detonated remotely. And so to that point, in addition to the 2 devices that we recovered out of his vehicle, there were receivers for those 2 explosive devices with the devices. And then on the shooter himself, when he was killed by law enforcement, he had a transmitter with him. Now, I do want to add one important point here, is at the moment, it looks to us, again, ongoing review, and I can't say that too many times. At a moment, it looks like, because of the on-off position on the receivers, that if he had tried to detonate those devices from the roof, it would not have worked. But that doesn't mean the explosives weren't dangerous.
And I'm sure we're going to get into all these subjects a little bit later as well. Tell us what you can about the encrypted platforms we've heard about.
So one of the things that we're drilling into hard with the shooter, in an effort to try to learn more about his state of mind, his motive, his ideology, his context, everything else, is to look at all of his devices, any social media accounts he had, et cetera. And one of the things we've learned in finally getting into his phone, which was also a significant technical challenge from an encryption perspective, but in addition, once we got on the phone, it turned out he was using some encrypted messaging applications.
And again, the same question relative to the bombs: was this pretty sophisticated, or is this is the kind of the norm you see with folks like similar situation? How would you
on this subject? I would say this has unfortunately now become very commonplace, and it's a real challenge for not just the FBI but state and local law enforcement all over.
Tell me exactly the scope of does the scope of your investigation include what I call that critical 5 minutes from when the 6:09, when this is based, I think, on information you've given to Congress, 6:09 when the shooter's identified on the roof, and 6:14 when President Trump is ultimately escorted off, and all that happens, the shots that take place in between there. Do you have access to the communications that were going on at the time in that critical 5 minutes?
So our investigation, when you say scope, our investigation includes that time frame, although focused again on the shooter himself and his tech. Now,
shooter's involved in that. He's obviously involved in that time frame.
Correct, and as part of that, as part of our focus, our investigation of the shooter and the attack, of course, we are interviewing law enforcement from the scene because those are some of the most significant witnesses, and we're obviously getting access to their materials and that kind of thing. And the Secret Service has been fully cooperative.
You have access to the communications that exist there.
That exact question, I don't, as I sit here at the moment, I don't know the exact answer to that question, but I know that Secret Service has been cooperative. with us.
And Secret Service has not been cooperative. Not at fucking all. That goddamn meeting on Monday was fucking horrendous.
Lots of communications we'd like to access as well. I see my time is up. And
You're watching America, the finale. You're watching America decline right now.
Until approximately 10 minutes after votes conclude on the House floor.
It's fucking crazy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we've been communicating with Jim Jordan's staff. We knew this was coming. We have, obviously, programming for you. This is part of the reason why the dais up there looks so empty, because there are votes on the House floor. They're inside of a committee hearing room, and members of Congress get, like, expedited process to get to the House floor. They vote in 5 minutes, and then they're back in 10. So we'll be back in what will be approximately 15 minutes with Director Wray. We've just heard some massive bombshells. 8 bullet casings, 8 shell casings from the assassin's rifle. We did not know that. You remember Cheetle? You remember Kim Cheetos sat up there and goes, I don't know. How many shell casings there were? Scum. Oh, it was despicable. That was just 24 hours ago. She said she had no idea. No idea how many bullets were fired at Trump's body. Corey Compertor shielding his family and potentially President Trump. We don't know exactly. We look forward to some sophisticated schematics of this. But as of right now, Corey Compertor, who is an American hero, who followed us on social media, he followed our channels. We've checked. And
I need to hear it.
Rips our hearts out. It guts us. We've donated to his fund. We'll do on behalf of the entire company.
Trying to figure out how to download
we'll do
to quiet the game volume, but leave that volume up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in touch with the
victims. Don't really have a way to do it.
The best that we can do right now is to bring, to do our best.
I still need to be able to hear
total
it to play.
light to the failures of the federal government, potentially a conspiracy inside the federal government to put a bullet in Trump's head. Corey Compertor took a bullet for Trump. We must remember him. I'm glad to hear him remembered. To be quite frank with you, I'm disgusted. I was sickened a little bit by the July 13 hearing and oversight with Kim Cheetle on Monday. I am repulsed. You know, in the Secret Service hearing, there was like a little bit of like touch and go with like guns are bad and we should control guns and eliminate the Second Amendment. There was a little bit of that, okay, from like the lower IQ, smooth-brained, mouth breather on
you call them mouth breathers
of the dais. There, the conflation of Nadler is enraging to me. He talked about the Fed-napping hoax with Whitmer, where all of the people involved there were FBI agents. Do you know these guys are walking free because the judges are like, hold up, you were set up by the FBI here. How dare he mention that? What about the Nancy? So he's mentioned Nancy Pelosi's husband getting hit with a hammer. That did happen. It's on film. It's on body camera. Okay? But he was hit with a hammer by a guy who had a BLM flag, gay pride flag in his yard, who was by his own children's account, a Green Party leftist activist. Guy was he's a nudist living in a camper with a BLM flag on it. And
That's
Jerry
crazy.
Nadler's trying to make that out to be right-wing
Alright, so
violence.
I think what we're going to do...
You filthy, despicable scum!
Actually, no, I'm not. I was going to turn this off and come back when it comes back. But I like listening to this fucker talk. He's talking big shit. It's fucking hilarious.
Reading. The guy's literally shaped like the Penguin out of Batman Returns.
Jerry Nadler does look like the Penguin. That shit is fucking funny.
Member of the Lollipop Guild.
Too many
lollipops.
Fucking
Jerry Nadler, what a piece of garbage. I think expect that to be the vein here.
Event ends in 11 minutes. 11 minutes, we're going to get a new Call of Duty season, guys.
And this is what they've done. What they're going to do is they're going to conflate our
president finish it.
Bullet to the head.
Tried. But
and by the way, your president too, Jerry Nadler, taking a bullet to the head.
I need 50 more COD points. We got to do
violence that was either facilitated by the left, right, with the Fed-napping hoax with Whitmer.
You got to do fucking 50 more fucking COD points. Damn it.
Federal agents stormed a handicapped man in Utah. Okay, so here are the facts of that case. That came up too. There was a man in Utah that was posting things you shouldn't post about Joe Biden on the internet. I'm going to say
right there. There
just
it
like
is.
I say, people who punch cops, don't care if you're wearing a MAGA hat or black bloc, don't punch a cop.
It's going to be a pain in the ass
I
to get.
disavow all political
I don't
violence.
think we're going to get it in time.
Never find anybody
I don't know when the new
making an
season
excuse
starts.
for violence
Starts today, I think.
This is not what we're going to do, ever, right? But this guy was posting things you shouldn't post on the internet, all right? I read some of his posts. Whatever, all right? Bad news, okay? Shouldn't do that. Platforms, whatever. Like, you shouldn't be able to make death threats and stuff, right? Okay, that's fine. I can go there with you. The FBI raided his house and murdered him. That I cannot get on with. So Jerry Nadler sitting there saying that the FBI acted judiciously there. Go look it up. It's this guy in Utah. The guy was handicapped. He was in a wheelchair, and the FBI kick in his door and kill him. So this is what Jerry Nadler is using as like a justification for both sidesism, is what this is called. People are such despicable filth. So expect that. So Nadler is the chairman. Expect him to like effectively like pump that into his members, and that's what they'll say the entire rest of the time.
The Shield is such a good distraction.
I want to move over to the Republican side of the dais because it seems like Dan Bishop was the one asking questions there. We're going to actually get answers from the FBI, and this is quite remarkable. I want you guys to look at this and here. I put up this article. I want you guys to know that we're properly sourced here on these comments. You will get the truth from this channel. The truth is sometimes very unfortunate and uncomfortable for us. We will tell you the truth, okay? We will tell you the truth. Here's this dude who was handicapped, a handicapped old guy. He's in his 70s. The FBI kicks in his door and kills him. All right? Utah man shot dead by FBI in raid for posts on Facebook? The guy couldn't even get down. The guy had ramps all over his house. Okay, so this is the example that Jerry Nadler's using. The FBI going in and absolutely smoking a guy who's handicapped, who posed zero threat to anyone, and they murdered him for his Facebook post. There you go. There you go. There's your image. There's your image of the dude. Unbelievable. Truly repulsive behavior by Democrats. We're the victims. We're the victims. It's amazing what brain rot this party has. Now, I find it quite remarkable that Christopher Wray, in his opening statement, I'm not trying to give him a pat on the back, but he spent the most of his opening statement talking about our open borders. And to his, I guess, small credit, this dude has been saying, like, the Biden administration is letting terrorists into the country. The Biden administration is letting all these terrorists into the country. Not
yeah, I want to point out, guys, I don't hate the FBI director. He is actually not too bad, but the way they're hiding questions, he doesn't like Trump, and I think they tried to kill him.
And he's been saying it for a while.
I think that's obvious.
Dude's been saying it for a long time. Like, they're letting terrorists into the country. And he spent the majority of his opening statement talking about how the border is allowing a bunch of terrorists and drugs and cartels into our nation. Good. You should still be fired. There's a poll at the top of the chat right now. Should Director Wray be fired? It has 10,000 votes. Most people say, yeah, 97%. This is also the guy, of course, that ordered the deadly raid on Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago to create a blue-on-blue situation where the Secret Service, who we now know to be totally run by incompetence, would be facing off with the FBI agents, guns drawn. Potentially putting the president, the president's children, the president's wife, lives at risk. This is the guy who raided Melania Trump's boudoir and Barron Trump's desk drawers at Mar-a-Lago. Go look for all the state secrets that Barron Trump's stashed away next to his fidget spinner and Game Boy. I don't think that's what kids do these days. Maybe not Game Boy. Nintendo Switch. Is that right? Next is Nintendo Switch. Is that what he's gonna do? All right. PS5. I'm old. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not me trying to defend Director Wray. This is quite interesting to me because the border czar has now initiated a coup against Joe Biden. There was a coup. Amazing how they brought up January 6th as well. Still no answers from the FBI on January 6th. So they bring up January 6th as well, but the actual coup, this party has been talking about democracy, the threats against democracy, and a coup for the last 4 years straight. They have broken their brains about how we are somehow threats to democracy and wanting to stage a coup. And over the last 72 hours, they
getting real salty about this riot shield.
Eliminated the votes of 15 million people. 15 million of their Democrat Party loyalists voted for Joe Biden. They evaporated and atomized those votes. And then they install somebody that nobody elected. Kamala Harris, who got 5th in the California primary for president, who didn't make it to Iowa in the election cycle, who didn't get a single delegate in 2020, not one delegate at the DNC convention in 2020. Kamala Harris, who no one has voted for and nobody elected, who is the border czar, who Chris Wray just low-key took a baseball bat to her record. Not calling him based. I'm just saying, all right, you know, bro clocks are right twice a day. That is a correct, like, he really went hard in on the open border. Good, right? Good. Without saying Kamala Harris is the reason for it, she is the border czar. So that's quite unique. There's a Trump campaign ad. At the moment I saw that, I'm like, dude, there's a Trump campaign ad. I'm texting members of Congress. I won't say who. I'm texting members of Congress right now saying, you should ask, hey, the borders are Kamala Harris. You spent 8 minutes of your opening statement talking about our open border. Are you okay? Are you happy with the borders are Kamala Harris? The new anointed queen, slay queen of the Democrat Party. Are you happy with her record?
Oh, that's
there. You should totally ask that.
That knife guy, fucking
texted a couple members on the committee. We'll see.
Shit, I mean, they're catching up.
We'll see if they oblige. But ladies and gentlemen, that was very interesting. Let's go to the Republican side of the aisle, okay? Because I wanted to like lay waste. I wanted to lay waste to the Democrat side. I think we've done that. Let me know if I missed anything. I'm watching the chat right now. Here we go. So, we lay waste to the Democrat side of the aisle. On the Republican side of the aisle, these are great questions. How many bullet casings were there? 8. Dude was able to get off 8 shots. Was there a drone? Yes, there was a drone. He was able to fly a drone over Donald Trump's rally 2 hours beforehand. He had explosives in his car. The explosives could be remotely detonated. It seems pretty sophisticated to me. Who was he working with? You're trying to tell us that a 20-year-old, some 20-year-old, like clearly like low IQ, pizza-faced mouth breather, is able to like build his own explosives to climb on the rooftop and do this all by himself?
People.
We're getting more answers out of Chris Wray than we got out of like 5 hours with Kim Chi.
God damn it, I hate that.
So I look forward to them coming back. They're coming back here in moments. If you're just tuning in, here's what's going on. All right, here's what's going on. We'll put up the sort of the holding pattern here, so we could show you. Christopher Wray is just live. Of course, we are live. Christopher Wray is live in Congress right now. He's still at Congress, and we've only gotten one question round in, just one, because
pinging people is probably the most important thing.
3 votes remaining, 2 minutes each.
Oh, how'd he
you
get
can
me?
see sort of the holding pattern on screen here. As soon as they're back, we'll go right back to the hearing. The reason why you should watch this and why this is so fascinating is because Christopher Wray is in charge of the entire Trump assassination plot and investigation, and he's giving us more information than we've seen in the past week, right? It's been 10 days since the president's been shot. And so our production team is monitoring the feed. The moment that Jim Jordan begins speaking again, we'll pop right back up. So that's where we are right now. They had to break for votes. This is supposed to be a 15-minute break or less. And we have some badass members of the team that will be able to ask questions. Coming up, ladies and gentlemen, just giving you the breakdown of this committee. That shield. The Judiciary Committee, again, is what we're watching. Jim Jordan, who is not finished with his questioning, asking some really probing and very interesting questions about the drones and the explosives and the encrypted messages. Like, who was helping this guy? Daryl Issa, Matt Gaetz, Andy Biggs, you love all them. Thomas Massey, Chip Roy, who's just an absolute badass. Some pretty incredible Republicans who are up next. Wesley Hunt, big-time friend of the show. Troy Nels. Ladies and gentlemen, you know all these names. Gunslingers.
How's it picking up my voice?
I
have
Florida,
both my
Texas,
mics muted.
Arizona.
But somehow it's still picking
really
up my voice.
Fantastic questioning, getting ready for
Test.
Christopher Wray to
Yeah,
answer
that
these
was
questions.
really weird. At the end of that
8
match, they could
bullet
hear me.
casings. I saw
it's
the
doing it
chat
again.
explode. Yo, did you know that? The guy got off 8 shots. Now we've been reading through the experts and looking at all this footage. Many people saying, how many shots did he actually fire? Now we know it's 8. I want to go back to the Fox News breaking clip from late last night, where Fox News was able to obtain exclusive footage, the cleanest and clearest we have yet, of the shooter and the shots that he fired, and the guy was filming in crisp 4K as the shooter actually fired the shots. This is remarkable footage, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I gotta see this.
You gotta see it, and now we know that 8 rounds were able to be fired by this 20-year-old, eluding the most sophisticated and premier protective services on Earth. Oh, okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This clip broke late last night. It's going thermonuclear viral.
We just obtained exclusive new video of the assassination attempt 10 days ago. It is the clearest and closest video we've seen yet, taken by an eyewitness who was there with his family next to the AGR building as Thomas Crooks opened fire. You can hear 8 shots, what sounds like 8 shots, followed by 2 counter sniper shots, including the kill shot from the Secret Service. Watch and listen.
There should be a whole lot of fucking Democrats going to fucking jail right now.
At one point, Thomas Crooks points his rifle at the eyewitness and those rally goers. This is what he told us about security on that day.
Definitely wasn't secure. I'm actually ex-military. One of the first things I noticed when we walked up, I'm like, none of us have been vetted. We're all along the fence. We all have view of the stage. We can see Trump.
There's no fucking way. This gun is that bad.
These guys were just able to just wander into a Trump rally? What the hell is going on? Try not to yell. What the hell is going on here? Load that as a play-beside. These guys were able to just wander into a Trump rally? So the president's on, the protectee's on stage, and anybody off the street...
push to talk on. I don't know what's going on.
Any hobo...
I don't know why it's registering even when I'm muted.
Walk
I put push to talk on so they can't hear me.
And just stare at Donald Trump and have perfect shot of Donald Trump. We are so... Do you pray? Are you a believer? I certainly am. Holy smokes. Pray for the protection of the president. What if that... What if it was like an actual sophisticated state actor? God forbid. But what if these were trained paramilitary assassins that walked through the southern border and were able to just walk up to the fence line here? Walk up to the fence line. I'm going to play this clip. I'm going to play this clip side by side. Okay, we're going to talk through this clip real fast. Were you in the military? Look at this. So apparently all these people were able to just walk up, were not vetted by Secret Service, and they had full sightline of the president? What if there were like 5 Iranian snipers sitting right there in the tree? This scum was able to just point a gun? What if he trained the gun on all the people sitting there? He was able to just point the gun? There, look at him. There he is with a firearm. This is crazy. And you're able to just sit there and watch President Trump? There, that's the shot I'm looking for. Right there. Hold on, I'll make it even bigger. Look at that. Do you see the flag? Do you see the speakers? This is amateur videos, so of course, like, this is the best that we got, but you can see the stage! You can see the stage! So what if all of these people, God forbid, but what if all of these people were snipers for Iran? Or state actors that are able to, like, inflow ISIS members from across the border. They get illegal firearms from the cartel. What if there were 100 snipers shooting? This is the level of protection that the president has? Are you... I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Are you kidding? Sorry to yell. This is brand new footage that we're just playing on the show for the first time. I cannot believe it. They wanted Trump dead. They wanted to blow his brains out on live TV. I have this image on screen because it's a still from the new footage of the assassin. Look at these people running. Look at these gentlemen running because they see the dude on the roof. One more time. Listen. You can hear the bullets. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. They wanted your president dead. They wanted him dead. I know we've done this I know we've done this just a few times, but it's important to break this down. All right? So look at all the people filming. Look at how lapsed the security was. You could just hop the fence. I mean, dude, you could have just gotten a butcher knife out and just hopped the fence. God forbid. You could have just hopped the fence. So we just found out from Christopher Wray that he fired 8 shots. But what about... And you can hear the 8 shots being fired right now. He's got a gun on the roof. Dude. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I'm going to play this for you. You can hear Trump talking, okay? And I'm going to mute the clip because I need to be able to sort of speak over it. Look at these people. They're filming Crooks as he's climbing. So he climbs for another like 15 minutes to the apex of the roof there. I'm sorry for the shaky, it's amateur footage. He's climbing to the top of the roof. Please stay tuned with me through the end of the clip here. It's like another 10 seconds. Watch this zoom in. Look at him. Look at this. Clear as day. People are screaming at him. And what do they find? What do we find when we actually go up on the rooftop? What do members of Congress find when they go up on the rooftop? I have something important to announce to you. I'm going on the rooftop. I'm going there. We're going there as a team. I said yesterday, Corey Comprentor was a follower of our channel, was a subscriber. And we owe it to him to put as much muscle and energy and power that we have has been given to us, that we feel like it's a responsibility and a deep responsibility that we take seriously at this show. We must tell the truth, and we must get the truth out here. So we're going. I'll give you details on that later. We're going, and we're bringing members of Congress with us. And I'm going up to this damn rooftop. I'm going to go up there, and we're going to bring our cameras, and we're going to show you everything. We're going to show you everything. We're going to blow this thing wide open. You're subscribed to the right channel here. We're going to take the energy from the chat, the energy from you. You want more information on this? We read the comments. We care about you deeply. And we will use our... We've been given a blessing by God to have the power to tell stories and to tell the truth and to have an audience that believes in us. And so we're going to take that energy, we're going to take that belief, and we're going to go to Pennsylvania. Not next week, not 4 weeks from now, not when the election's over. We're going this week. This week. And we've used our muscle to get members of Congress to go with us so that they can kick down any door, so they can rip off any hazard tape, and we are going to go there and we're going to show you. We will go there and show you. We love you. We care about you. And it is our honor to be subscribed to by you and to be trusted by you to tell you the truth. And so part of that is we are going to go. We're going to go. We're going to Bethel, Pennsylvania. We're going this week to the grounds where the president was that close from being assassinated. A true, literal miracle that we all witnessed. and where Corey Compertor lost his life. We're going to go and we're going to stand there and we're going to show you everything. Ladies and gentlemen, a member of Congress, members of Congress are going to take us. It's amazing. Every person we asked to take us, we asked members of Congress who are snipers. Okay? So yesterday we went and we asked members of Congress who are snipers, called them on the phone, and every one of them said instantly, yes, done, cancel my schedule, let's go. It's amazing. So we're going to tell you the full story. Eli Crane was on the roof yesterday. He's a Navy SEAL, a member of Congress. And Eli Crane had this, he found this out when he was standing on the scary slope.
I forgot to switch. I ran out of ammo.
Where the supposed sniper took a shot. It's not that steep at all. We just had a 70-year-old man back here climb up on the roof easily. See that water tower behind me? Had Secret Service or anybody had sniper teams up there, this guy wouldn't have made it 5 feet up this roof. He would have been taken out. Behind me,
what's up, Con?
the windows.
Sorry.
Secret Service.
Standing there when I got
Supposedly in the second floor of this building.
Bro, my neighbors, 2 of them Karens, bro. They should have called the police. Random place
the individual. And then
People are
behind me,
stupid.
back over here where those red roofs are, that's where the stage was set up. That's where the president was giving his speech from. A lot of questions here in Butler. But we look forward to doing oversight and getting to the bottom of it and making sure it never happens again.
So we are going to go to Butler. We're going to stand here. We're going to show you everything. What is this video? This video is where the sniper was positioned. Josh Hawley has whistleblower testimony that there was supposed to be an officer on the rooftop. According to Josh Hawley's whistleblower testimony, the officer thought it was too hot to be on the rooftop. So because an officer didn't want to be a little hot under the collar, that officer left the rooftop and Trump took a bullet to the head. Because some Secret Service officer, some DEI hire, probably somebody who's not a Secret Service officer, a member of the Lady Ghostbusters, who were there to protect themselves, not Donald Trump. Were obviously there to literally have the photographic evidence of them hiding behind President Trump's body.
I need to run
So the Lady Ghostbusters,
I need to run an assault rifle so I can knock this out.
Probably one of these members of the Homeland Security Investigative Unit, because they're not Secret Service agents. They're not Secret Service agents. According to Josh Hawley, and can we get the Josh Hawley tweets up? I just want you to see, because Josh Hawley has issued letters to the DHS based on the whistleblower testimony protected in the Senate. Josh Hawley is a great senator from the state of Missouri. And he said, this is what whistleblowers have come to me to say. One, that these are not agents. This will come as no surprise to you that these are not actual Secret Service agents. They're the Lady Ghostbusters LARPing in costume in like suits. That's why they can't holster their weapons. Josh Hawley is also, and here's the here are the actual on Senate letterhead signed by Senator Hawley, whistleblower testimony, that the agents were supposed to be on the rooftop, and they retreated inside because it was too hot. So Trump took a bullet in the head because it was too hot. But then there was a sniper nest that was set up there from Secret Service. That sniper nest view is right here. We will go into the sniper nest this week. We will get that footage in 4K and we will produce it for you. We will play it for you live. We will also produce it for you, and we will show the whole world. This was supposed to be the view of Thomas Crooks from a sniper. Have any of you fired a weapon before? I bet you have. How hard of a shot would this be for a Secret Service sniper who win every single competition? I got a sniper in my family, okay? Got a sniper in my family who is a sniper professionally for our military in the United States of America. He competes against the Secret Service. He tells me that Secret Service snipers are the best snipers, not in America, in the world. That international sniper competitions, Secret Service snipers smoke every nation, every law enforcement agency, every military.
I don't know what's going on, guys. I can't get
the Secret
Service
Service are the premier, best of the best snipers in the world. Don't take that away from them, because they literally have plaques and medals to prove it in these sniper competitions. Why couldn't they make a shot?
It goes white now for some reason when I try to open it.
Who gave the stand down order? Now those are questions. Those are questions that Marjorie Taylor Greene asked yesterday. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yesterday, said, is there a conspiracy to kill President Trump? I'm sorry, on Monday. Is there a conspiracy to kill President Trump? ALX, I don't think that we have time for the full version there, so can we grab this as just the Trump conspiracy theory? Marjorie Taylor Greene had an incredible 7-minute absolute reign of terror against Kim Cheadle. Kim Cheadle resigned, and she asked the right questions. Who gave the stand down order? Who said in this, when you have this view of Thomas Crooks, don't take the shot, don't kill him? Who did that? Now you can see here the building, right? You can see here the building and the building itself, and you can see in this footage right here, the exact same spot, right? So there it is. Spatially, this is from the ground. The exact same spot. You can see Thomas Crooks right there. Look at how easy of a shot that would be. This isn't even hard. Guys, this isn't even hard. Like little children at firearm ranges that, you know, are obviously there with their parents, right? And then their parents are practicing their Second Amendment rights and teaching their children to defend themselves. Like little children can take these shots. This is the easiest shot. You see Crooks right there on the roof. He's the gray blob. But look at him climbing right there. You just saw from the sniper angle. Now look at him. How hard would the shot... This was the sniper nest. The enemy is gaining ground. Push it back. Look at the people pointing. Saying there's the shooter. How was this guy acting alone? I'm sorry. I don't buy it. This guy wasn't acting alone. Something else was up here. I hope that we get to that with Christopher Wray's testimony today. Something else was up here. The first questioner, Dan Bishop from North Carolina, asked, like, are you sure this guy was acting alone? Like, are you sure this guy's not a patsy? And there wasn't a second gunman? What's going on here? The bullet casings. It says there were 8 shots fired. I suppose that is consistent with quite a bit of footage. I hope they have photos and videos to back it up. We're starting to get Secret Service video, body cam footage. Listen, man, if this was an actual botched operation, we're going to be able to find out. We will find out. This ain't no Zapruder film anymore. It's not 1964. It's not JFK. It's different now. We have this clear 4K footage. And by the way, we are going to go get our own 4K footage. We're going to climb on the roof. We're going to show you exactly what Thomas Crooks saw. We're going to show you what the snipers saw. We're going to go up to the other rooftops. We're going to show you everything.
The fucking team isn't even collecting tags, bro.
To take this guy out and how they allowed
Put me
it
into matches like
happen.
that. I fucking hate that shit.
And then they staffed Donald Trump to ensure maximum damage. They staffed Donald Trump with incompetence.
I wonder why I can't get the full screen.
And people that, according to Josh Hawley, have no clue what Secret Service procedure is in moments like this. Have no clue. I'm not saying this of all of the Melissa McCarthy agent ducking behind Trump. I don't say things I can't prove, all right? Or I don't speculate on things. Speculation is very important. You must be able to ask questions, and that's what we're doing here. We're simply asking questions. I don't speculate on things that I can't provide evidence for. All right? There's a photo of the agent who can't holster her gun, literally hiding behind Trump, crouching down during a live fire situation and hiding, using Donald Trump's body as her human shield. I've seen it. Maybe you've seen it. I'm happy to show it to you when my boys get it up. Ladies and gentlemen, we got real problems here. So I hope,
I'm real pissed off with this. I don't know why it's
deeply pray that Republicans ask tough questions.
I don't know why
when
it was working fine for a while. Just stop.
Into the hearing of Christopher Wray. Do you see it? Click on the photo. Zoom on the Lady Ghostbusters. Yeah. You in law enforcement? You ever been in the military? What does this position tell you? This individual was hiding from where she thought the fire was coming from. Of course, she was wrong, obviously. She didn't know how to holster her own weapon. That pile there is President Trump. Please zoom out. That pile there is President Trump. She's using Trump's body to hide herself from where she thinks the bullets are coming from. You can see, of course, the iconic chart that President Trump was using behind her. Can you zoom in on the Secret Service agents? I am a big back the blue kind of guy, okay? You will never find any BLM stuff. You'll never find any defund the police garbage in my timeline, ever. You know that. So I'm not here to try and, like, criticize law enforcement. Look at these guys doing their jobs. See if you... I think even Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, and Helen Keller could spot the difference between real Secret Service agents and the people LARPing as Secret Service agents that happen to just be surrounding Donald Trump that day. What if, asking a very dangerous question here, what if they only
it makes
Donald
it disappear.
Trump?
It's so
What if
fucking
they took
annoying.
all real Secret
Why?
Service agents and they only staffed them with Lady Ghostbusters? What if that was the case? What would have happened? Well, President Trump would have been laying flat on the ground with a bunch of people going like this. Is it safe? Behind him. That's what would have happened. There's President Trump. The guy fired 8 shots. President Trump's a pretty big target. President Trump's like 6'3". I mean, you ever met the dude? Commands a room, right? Commands a stage. He's a big dude. He's like 6'3", maybe. With the hair, he's 6'5". Still looks really teeny next to Barron Trump, but, you know, who wouldn't be? So Donald Trump laying flat on the ground.
Bro, Con, as much as I want to chat with you today, bro, I'm trying to listen to this shit, man. And I know you got some personal shit going on, but
like
at the moment, I'm not trying to get
shots
into it.
off. Maybe his gun jammed or something like that. Maybe he only had 8 rounds.
I want to listen to this. I'm kind of focused on this.
But the guy, like, so what if all the agents were doing this? What if all the agents were cowering behind Trump's body? Was that the goal? Apparently it was. Because we have whistleblower testimony from Josh Hawley that they.
I mean, it's good, Con. I'm just trying. I'm not really watching chat. I'm listening to him.
Service agents.
And I just not trying to.
Department of Homeland Security.
I also don't quite understand what you were saying.
Department of Homeland Security. It's the third paragraph down.
It's pretty broken
Department
up.
of Homeland Security. In addition, whistleblower
but
allegations suggest the majority of DHS officials were in fact not Secret
fate of my
Service
fucking
agents,
country at the
but
moment.
instead were drawn from the Department of Homeland Security investigations. If
still
that
love you
sounds
though,
like people whose most dangerous
just
job
not today.
during
Give
the
me a
day
day.
is retrieving the Cheetos bag from the vending machine.
Bro, this is fucking crazy. Why hasn't it started back up yet? Is what I want to know.
Sticky little government laptops.
It's supposed to be starting back up in a
That's
second.
what the Department of Homeland Security Investigations Unit is. A bunch of grotesque paper pusher bureaucrats. Parasitic barnacles inside of the obesity of our federal glut government. These people were assigned to protect President Trump that day. In an open field that literally anybody could have ran into the event. As we have shown you. So that's who those people were. What if that's the only people? What if there weren't, like, real Secret Service agents there? And Thomas Crooks was able to get an entire 30 rounds off. And President Trump was just, like, President Trump did what he's supposed to do. He laid flat on the ground. Presumably there's defensive, you know, most of the time those stages are bulletproof, iron. I think they always are. The stages themselves act as a bulletproof guard against Trump. I personally believe that they should put bulletproof glass around Trump forever now, at every event. That's what I believe. If it was good enough for Obama, it's good enough for our guy. Obama spoke with bulletproof glass around him every speech. They should do that for President Trump, period. So this guy was able to get off 8 rounds. Donald Trump lays flat. What if their plan had worked? What if these individuals had, like, what if he was only staffed with these individuals and they were all hiding behind Trump's body, as is proven here in this photograph? Would we have a different result? Yeah, we totally would have had a different result.
I can't get the kills, man. It's not hitting them hard enough from this far away.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, ladies and gentlemen, asking the right questions on the date, which was Monday. Here we go.
People under your command did not consider him to be a threat, yet people in the crowd knew he had a gun and considered him to be a threat. That means that you are a complete failure as the director of the Secret Service, that people under your command don't perceive a man laying on a roof with direct line to the president with a gun. They don't perceive that to be a threat, yet the people in the crowd do. How is that possible?
That's the last question, but please answer the question, Director.
I'm not certain at this time how the information from the people in the crowd was relayed to any law enforcement personnel.
No, you knew, that everyone knew. The people there knew that there was a danger. They knew there was a threat to President Trump, and it was allowed to happen. Was there a stand-down order, Ms. Cheadle? Was there a conspiracy to kill President Trump?
Absolutely not.
Then how did this happen? And why are you still sitting here not turning in your letter of resignation?
Last question. Please answer, and then I'll recognize Mr. Presley. Please answer the question.
That is what we are investigating to determine.
We're waiting for your letter. We're waiting for your letter of resignation. And you really need to consider doing that before you leave today.
Skepticism cannot be wrong. It is our sovereign right to ask questions. We must ask questions, especially of government bureaucrats who have failed us. It is why we are proud to bring you Christopher Wray's testimony on Capitol Hill right now. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. A Democrat member of Congress is mulling right now, most likely about threats to her to Nancy Pelosi. And Christopher Wray is back. Let's go.
In this instance in particular, we have a lot of legal process out for additional accounts
oh my God, man.
that the shooter is associated with. So we're hoping to learn more, and we're still exploiting a number of devices. I think it's fair to say we do not yet have a clear picture of his motive, and I think it's important to explain.
Are you serious? That ain't a fucking face, bro.
Questions.
This dude's getting mad as fuck at me for some reason.
He's using an open site fucking goddamn Part 98, bro. He's just fucking running around being a little
contact with, looking at the individual's social media accounts, messages.
Oh my goodness, bro.
Physical evidence in the person's residence. You can see a manifesto, things like that. We're not seeing that yet.
There's not
we are
holding
digging
anything.
in hard because this is.
You're not gonna get it if you don't fucking hold it.
What I can say is that the shooter appears to have done a lot of searches of public figures in general, but so far we're seeing kind of news articles and things like that, and so the images that have been reported about
Right behind, bro. You just need to not. Y'all need to not be shooting people's tags you can't get.
The image appears in the cache, as opposed to like search for that specific. But again, I really want to be clear that that's a place that we're doing a lot of work right now. So more to come on that.
Well, I thank you for that clarification. We're interested also in the role of access to weapons when it comes to this terrible crime. The shooter used a semi-automatic rifle, really a weapon of war, that sadly has also been used in mass shootings around the country, including in my own district. It seems to me that the assault weapons ban was once in place had been part of the national answer to curbing the epidemic of gun violence in America. I wonder if you could, with your help, Director Wray, understand a few aspects of the investigation. It's my understanding that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and ATF was quickly able to use the gun purchaser, using records from an out-of-business gun store, records that the government is required to correct. Some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have suggested that collection should stop. There have been efforts to digitize it, which have been resisted. Can you tell us about how the origin of this gun purchase was discovered and the technology used?
I'm gonna mute audio.
I guess what I can say is we located a number of firearms associated with the shooter and his family. I think it was a total of 14 in the house. The weapon that he used for the attempted assassination was an AR-style rifle that was purchased legally
Need some more operator kills. Finish this out.
Is my understanding, acquired, I think bought actually from his father, who was the one who originally bought it. Again,
I need 4 tokens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My time has expired, so I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you. Director, I'll try to ask questions
Daryl Issa
are answerable too. I think that's been done pretty well on both sides. You do the advanced threat assessment and deliver that information as to the general threat and then specifics as to protected people to the Secret Service. Is that correct?
Well, sort of. The Secret Service does a threat assessment, but they're doing that based on intelligence that they receive from a number of sources, including, of course, the FBI. So we share, whenever we have threat information related to a particular individual or protectee, and we share it with the Secret Service at a number of levels.
So you're a participant, but ultimately the responsibility for threat assessment as to these individuals belongs to the Secret Service.
Well, again, the threat assessment for the individual belongs to the Secret Service, but we are an important part of that because we share threat information, if we have any. They get threat information from a variety of sources.
So, and you get them from that same variety of sources. They've got no sources that are excluded from the FBI, do they?
Well, I don't know. I'm not aware of any that are excluded from the FBI, but they may receive information that comes directly to them that didn't come to us.
Sure. Okay. Director, do you believe that former President Trump was a high-risk threat under your assessment?
Well, I believe that former President Trump, really, frankly, like any president or former president, is a very high-profile figure and attracts a lot of, unfortunately, the kind of threats we've been talking about.
It's fair to say, not on a scale of 1 to 1,000,000 with little nuances, but on a scale of 1 to 10, President Trump's risk was very similar to a current president, very similar to, because he was the presumptive nominee and leading in the polls and so on, that he was a high risk by any standard. Is that correct?
Certainly, there's a reason why he has so much protection around him.
Okay. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the son of assassinated senator and the nephew of an assassinated president, would you say he was also, as a presidential candidate, at significant risk?
Well, again, I think any presidential candidate raises some level of risk. It might vary from candidate.
No, but it's clearly a risk. Okay. In a nutshell, the day before this attack, President Trump was documented not to have gotten on multiple occasions from the Secret Service what they asked for. The day after, it looks like they're getting more. The day before, RFK had been denied by the president multiple times, Secret Service protection. The day after, he now has it. So now my question is the actions of a 20-year-old with a lone gunman on a roof sufficient to change the risk assessment in your mind for President Trump and RFK? Or are we just realizing the threat that was always there and being more appropriate in matching it? And I know that's a little vague, but you've been at this for a long time. Hindsight is 20/20. Now that we have hindsight, is it fair to say that giving Robert F. Kennedy Jr. security, upping the security, including drones, overhead support for the president, former president, these are all things that in hindsight should have been done the day before?
Well, let me try to answer your question this way. Of course, as I said, the assessments of the level of security to be provided to individual protectors.
No, I understand it's a Secret Service decision.
But what I would say to you is that, and I've been saying for quite some time, including in front of committees of this Congress, that we are in an elevated threat environment, and we have been for some time. And that comes from a variety of quarters. It is quite frankly a dangerous time to be a prominent public official.
In regards to that, the other side has spent a lot of time talking about what people on the right have said. But there was an attempted assassination on a Supreme Court justice. We have had the highest ranking senator on the other side of this body saying that there were actions, that they were accountable. We have had multiple members of Congress in both the House and the Senate berating the character of members of the Supreme Court as a result of their decisions made, both, you know, sometimes 6-3, sometimes unanimous, whatever. Are those comments, not any one of them, but are those comments and the generation of that sort of, oh, this guy's bad for democracy, this Supreme Court justice is a threat to democracy, is that the kind of thing that raises the threat level, and would you caution against that?
Well, I do believe that we've seen an increase in threats of violence, which again, that's the FBI's lane, not rhetoric, no matter how despicable or heated it is, but violence and threats of violence. We have seen an uptick in threats towards judges, among other prominent public officials, including, as you say, a case that we helped investigate involving a threat to a sitting Supreme Court justice.
An attempt.
An attempt.
Thank
correct.
you.
Right. And I think it's a reflection of a broader phenomenon that we are seeing in this country, where people, again, very passionate, I respect that, very angry, I respect that, but there's a right way and a wrong way to express yourself when you're angry. And violence and threats of violence just can't be it. And that's where we fit in. It's not my role as FBI director to call out, you know, particular people's rhetoric. There's a place for that, but that's not my role as FBI director. But when it turns to violence and threats of violence, that has to be treated as unacceptable, and that's the way we live.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Director, when did the FBI learn that Iran was threatening President Trump's life?
Good question.
So I want to be a little bit careful here, not to talk about specific classified information, but we have been for quite some time, and I'll stick with what's in the open record. We, for some time, and I in particular for some time, have been calling
fucking
out
sniper, man.
The efforts
Fucking
by
annoying.
the Iranian government to attempt to retaliate for the killing of Soleimani by going after current or former prominent U.S. officials, and we've even had an indictment against it. And I think that we need to recognize the brazenness of the Iranian regime, including right here in the United States.
Yo,
I expect that we're going to see more of it, and I expect there'll be more coming on
There's a
that.
guy
I'm
camping
not
in the
aware of
airplane.
any threat information related to tech Ds that wasn't, passed in a
I don't have
timely
chat
way, but
on,
I can't
fuck.
really get into specifics here.
It's a minority's time here, but I just felt that was a question the committee didn't understand, and it sounds like you've known that for a long time, and that information was conveyed to the Secret Service.
Any information related to threats against the former president, which again, as we've sort of talked about, is happens all too often, is something that we have a whole process we routinely share with the Secret Service at a number of levels in a timely way, and to my knowledge, that has consistently been followed.
Gentleman from Georgia's record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here, Director Ray.
Mr. Guam.
Director Ray,
Mr. Guam's going to tip over.
FBI is the independent law enforcement agency under the Department of Justice. Is that correct?
Yes.
And does the FBI director currently report
Airplane
to
walls are
anyone?
thin.
Well, you mean in a chain of command reporting structure kind of thing? Yeah, so the FBI is part of the Justice Department. On the org chart, you would see that the FBI director, and this has been true for decades, reports to the Deputy Attorney General, who reports to the Attorney General. Obviously,
That fucking
reports in a
sucks, man.
communications sense.
This gun's
I
not great for this map.
report to any number of people.
As opposed to a micromanagement reporting system.
Correct.
What?
And you
What the hell are you talking about?
would take issue, would you not, with any proposal that would change or alter that chain of command and place you or place a FBI director in the position of reporting directly to the president? You would oppose that.
I don't think that would be a wise reporting structure. I think the structure that we've had for decades now makes sense. I think there's a difference between independence in a sort of organizational structure perspective and independence in terms of the way you do the work. Obviously, the
reporting
FBI,
directly-
the FBI is part of the Justice Department.
Well, reporting directly to the president would eliminate your independence, would it not?
I don't think it would help.
Yeah. And you're familiar with Project 2025, are you not?
I mean, I've seen news reports about it. I'm not
aware that
really familiar with it.
You're aware that it is a
no way
game plan for President Trump's first 120 days in office, correct?
I'm really not familiar with the details.
Well,
I've seen reporting about it.
It is, and what he proposes to do is to force the FBI director to appoint report directly to him. That's what he wants to do within the first 120 days. He also wants to eliminate the position of FBI.
No, he doesn't.
General
Okay, just to get this straight, Project 2025 has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Project 2025 is the Heritage Foundation. Trump's agenda is Agenda 47. This is a stupid conspiracy theory that Democrats keep pushing forward, and it's fucking dumb.
In terms of advising our workforce, we have 38,000 people. The idea of having an organization like ours, an independent law enforcement agency like ours that doesn't have its own general counsel's office doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it would seem like any proposal that would force the director to report to the president.
Oh my God.
And then there would be no legal counsel for the director of the FBI. That seems like it's an attempt to neuter the FBI.
Should neuter the FBI.
Trump was shot in the face.
I want to point this out. I want to point out the bipartisanness of this. This is an assassination attempt on a former president. This is a fucking Congress hearing about that, and this guy just wants to bring up how he doesn't like election agendas. Like, get fucked, you stupid fucking Democrat.
President Trump. I respect that. I think that's a part of our structure. But independence in terms of how we do our work is what matters to me. And we need to be able to do our work in a way that is free from political interference.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do that by reporting everything you do to the president and getting his authority and approval before you take action.
It doesn't exist. This doesn't
I don't
exist.
think that would be a wise approach.
And then there's even a proposal to replace many of those 38,000 dedicated civil servants who work for the FBI, replace them with
Remember, the FBI is the strong arm fucking law of the Democratic Party. Don't fucking get shit twisted. The FBI is fucked.
Danger would that bring to the FBI if that were to happen?
Well, again, I haven't.
The heads of the FBI are a bunch of scumbags. The agents, they're fine. They have nothing to do with it. Scumbags.
The FBI is made up of 38,000 dedicated career law enforcement professionals. It has no political appointees of any kind, unless you count me as a nominee of the former president. I don't think that should change. I think that is part of how we do our work.
A bunch of MAGA loyalists. This is the Democratic Party you dumb fucks vote for.
And that's the way it has been for 160 years.
Bunch of fucking idiots, man. I hate fucking Democrats, bro. Hope someone Games of Thrones your convention.
That's what Project 2025 proposes, and I'm glad to know that you are.
This is dumber than I thought. This guy's. This is the guy that thought Guam would tip over if you put too many troops on it.
Shooter on the FBI's radar.
Here we go, Matt Gaetz. Here we go.
Assassination attempt.
We did not have any information about the shooter. He was not in our holdings for the shooter.
No communication in any chat rooms, no CIs or.
I like how it blew me up before I could collect the fucking tag.
No, we've run a thorough search for the subject through all of our holdings, and he was not in them anywhere.
Were there any FBI agents or informants present at the Trump rally in Butler?
Not to my knowledge.
And Mr. Jordan was talking to you about Iran. Were law enforcement resources diverted from the protection of President Trump to John Bolton as a consequence of concern that Mr. Bolton might have been the target of Iranian malign efforts?
That's really a Secret Service decision. I don't know the answer to that. That's really something they would know better. What I can tell you is
now, thank God.
There are a number of individuals. You mentioned one who have brought a case this is a criminal case for the Iranians.
Oh, come on! I got fucking.
Are you gonna get that answer to us? Whether or not resources were diverted from Trump to Bolton? Is that just going to be part of your review?
I think that's going to be part of the reviews by the inspector general.
The inspector general for DHS, right?
Of DHS,
right.
and the outside panel.
And I think that's an important point because the inspector general for DHS has really fallen out of favor with the administration because he's been pointing out all the problems on the border with Mayorkas and Biden, and we're always kind of worried that they're about to fire him, which would be a really bad idea now that this role that you've identified is so critical. It would be a bad idea to fire the IG for DHS during the pendency of this, right?
I don't think that would be a good idea.
I'm with you on that. So I want to zoom out a little bit. How often do you brief President Biden?
You mean on this
just generally.
case?
No, in your role as
I mean, I don't know that I could give you a number.
Is it like weekly, monthly, daily?
It's not at a regular cadence. There have been times when there have been months at a time when I haven't, and then there have been times when several days apart I have. It's always with other people.
The vice president, is she typically there?
Often has been.
Okay, so when did you notice his decline?
Woo.
In my interactions, in my role, all my interactions with the current president have been completely professional.
Oh, good shit, my guy, good shit. I didn't realize there was a fucking window up there. This team sucked really bad.
Maybe not picking things up as quickly as he used to.
All right, mission
Again,
complete.
I don't meet with him very often, but what you're describing is not something that I've observed during my interactions.
I mean, we've had it observed so often that the ranking member and Mr. Schiff on this committee said that he could no longer continue as a candidate. And so, since you're the FBI director, I was just sort of wondering, like, who's running the country?
Oh,
like if something
that's a good fucking question.
If something bad happened, you'd have to go brief President Biden about it right now. God forbid.
And on any number of occasions, I have briefed the president, and as I said, those briefings have all been uneventful and unremarkable.
Well, I can imagine them being uneventful. But in the work where the vice president
get
is
him,
also
bro,
present,
get him.
Like you say, there's like more than half the time there's these briefings she's there too.
I don't know if I said more than half the time. Certainly, there have been times where she's been present. There have been other times where she hasn't.
I take you at your word when you say this is the most complicated threat environment you've ever observed over a long career in law enforcement. And I'm just kind of wondering, with this assassination attempt, with the invasion at our border, with all the Hamas that have been let in that you've talked about and briefed about, is Biden up to it? And if he's not up to it, and you're a guy who's been regularly briefing him, like who's been in on this conspiracy to hide the real Joe Biden from all of us for years? It never occurred to you that this guy wasn't up to it in all these briefings you did?
As I said, my briefings with the president have all been completely fine.
Were they between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.?
He's asked questions. There hasn't been anything of note in the area that you're talking about.
Yeah, did you ever have to brief him before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m.? We hear those are as good hours.
I've certainly times that I have briefed have included outside those hours.
Right. I just, I think the American people want to know how we got to this point.
Wow.
With someone who's so diminished his own party has basically put him out to pasture. And since you had close proximity and the vice president had close proximity, I'm just kind of wondering if you were being straight with all of us about how things were going. And I guess we'll have to figure that out.
You can count on me to be straight with you, sir.
We'll see.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Tennessee is recognized.
Oh, okay.
Firstly, I'd like to
Christopher Ray is straight.
Colleague and my colleagues side by side made for many, many years in this police.
Oh, he's got sniped into the hallway.
He was a great member.
Oh gosh.
For America, and our losses was Belgium. Great. Secondly, I'd like to say to the FBI director that some remarks made when you were introduced, remarks saying that people don't have great faith in the FBI. I have great faith in the FBI. I think most of us on this side of the aisle do. We appreciate your work. We appreciate your being here. Some on the other side of the aisle have cast aspersions upon the FBI and upon law enforcement. They don't want to support law enforcement. That's their business. But I support law enforcement. The FBI is the top rank of law enforcement in our country. Thank you. And
You got on your knees for BLM, scum.
Yeah, maybe weaponized.
Guy's got on his knees for a lot of things. I think he got that position, sucking fucking Democrat dick.
McCarthy says that Mr. Gates investigated for some sexual involvement with a 17-year-old girl. The president or anybody in the Democratic Party, as Mr. McCarthy has suggested, weaponized you and tried to get you involved in that case.
No, sir.
Good, thank you. Just wanted to make sure of that. Butler, Pennsylvania, I read something about a ladder. He used a ladder to get up on that roof, and that the ladder was found somewhere a distance away. Is that true?
So we do know that he purchased a ladder. I think, if I recall correctly, it was about a 5-foot tall type of ladder. But unfortunately, we did not find the ladder at the scene.
Oh, good shit, my guy.
So it's not clear.
I don't like this SMG, man. This SMG kind of sucks.
You don't think
We're still digging
Not
into
a
all
huge
that,
fan.
things related to the ladder and his access to the roof. But he did buy a ladder, but the ladder was not found at the scene.
Ladder didn't have any feet on it. It didn't walk off.
He's hiding that corner back there.
Sir. There have been a lot of threats against.
What a piece of
public
garbage.
officials. You've seen Mr. Scalise terribly shot. We saw Gabby Gifford shot. Congress people. Many of us have had death threats, and the FBI has been made aware of those to help protect us. I appreciate that greatly. But we've also had election officials and poll workers threats. What is the FBI doing in consultation with other law enforcement to ensure every eligible voter can safely and confidently cast a ballot this year?
So when it comes to threats to election workers in particular, we participate in the election threats task force that DOJ set up. We also, and there have been quite a number already of arrests and convictions under that task force. We have got a number of investigations underway that involve all kinds of threats to election workers, ranging from online threats to, there was even some mailings that included fentanyl. So there's been a number of types of threats to election workers. And these are, after all, people who are putting in their own time for the good of the country to try to help us have a functioning democracy. And so the idea that they would be targeted with violence is just outrageous. We are sharing information with election officials about things to be on the lookout for. We have election crime coordinators in all 50 states.
You'll be prepared for election day with additional. FBI will be looking out for them.
Yes.
Thank you. Jeffrey Epstein. Been in the news a lot lately about involvement with certain people high in politics involved.
Jeffrey
the FBI
Epstein.
conduct the raid on his townhouse in New York when he was incarcerated in New York. There was a raid on his East Side townhouse.
Well, I don't know about a raid. I know we executed a number of searches in the course of our fairly extensive investigation.
Can you tell me if during that search if you came across and have within your possession of the FBI tapes of him with other individuals he might have taken in people in compromising positions?
Yeah, I don't know that there's anything I can share related to that. I can see if there's information we could provide and maybe get back to you on it.
If there were tapes of people in prominent positions, friends of his, he posed for pictures with possibly compromising positions, it would be public, I think, has a right to see those.
Well, I mean, how we handle evidence recovered in a criminal investigation has all kinds of rules that apply to it. I recognize the intense public interest in this subject, but we have to follow our rules. But I'm happy, like I said, I'm happy to follow.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate your service. And thank you.
Gentlemen, yield the last 5. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Ray, for being here.
All right, Biggs, let's go, baby.
Well, we know that he fired at least 8 because we recovered 8 cartridges on the roof.
Okay. And are all the cartridges and the unspent bullets, have they been, you know how many there are accounted for all of those? I assume, yeah.
We believe we have. Again, there was lots of work still ongoing, but yes, we believe we have now.
And did the recovered shells, the cartridges, match the shooter's rifle?
My recollection is yes.
And you conducted analysis that confirms that?
Well, we work with ATF, but yes, so some of the work has been divided up. But
And how many shell casings were recovered from the location of the counter snipers?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part.
From the counter snipers location.
That I don't have the answer, at least here at my fingertips.
Okay. Did the blood and tissue pattern of the shooter, did it match the stories or the witness testimony that you've heard so far?
Can you, well, I'm not sure I'm following the question.
Well, I assume you've interviewed the counter snipers, or you have that evidence, and other witnesses describing the kill of the shooter. And I'm wondering if the blood and tissue.
Chloe Scott CS. I got you. Yeah, hey, Chloe Scott CS. I am banned from Twitter right now, so it will be Saturday before I can follow back anybody. I have a 1-week ban. There ain't nothing I can do right now.
So the autopsy is being handled.
I think I can't add people. Let me see. I'm gonna check real quick. I don't think I can add people though. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure I got a 1-week ban that should be going off on Saturday.
Not totally unusual. But so far, nothing remarkable on that front.
That's from the body itself, but from actually the scene where the shooter was found, is everything consistent with the testimony?
What is it?
The physical evidence.
Chloe Scott CS.
Is that consistent with the testimony you've seen, that you've heard so far?
So far, yes. Again, ongoing investigation.
Were you able to determine whether the shooter took the gun up with him when he climbed up to the top of the roof, or was it already placed there somewhere?
Yeah, so I can't.
So that is something that
I can't follow you back yet.
Now.
It'll have to wait till Saturday.
I don't know the answer to yet. I can tell you, which may be relevant though to your question, that and I don't think this has been reported yet, that the weapon had a collapsible stock, which could explain why it might have been less easy for people to observe. Because one of the things that we're finding is people have observed him. The first people to observe him with the weapon were when he was already on the roof, and we haven't yet found anybody with first-hand observation of him with the weapon walking around beforehand. So that doesn't mean he wasn't.
What if he put the weapon up there a day ahead of time? You fucking idiots didn't even check. Fucking, he probably hid the weapon on the site. Y'all are idiots, bro. I'm telling you right now, your average Call of Duty gamer is smarter than the fucking Secret Service. Like, they can pick better sniper positions, they can pick better fucking cover. Like, the Secret Service is fucking retards.
You don't remember if he has a scope?
Fucking sad, bro.
Tell me how you discovered the drone, how you discovered the time, and how you discovered, if you can describe what he would have been observing with the drone and how you determined that.
So this is something that's very much ongoing right now. We're going back and forth with our lab as they continue to do work on it. What I would say is, the drone was in his car. As I said, we've been able to, by exploiting the drone, determine its use and flight paths. There were no pictures or videos on the drone of the day of the rally, for example. But we have been able to reverse engineer the flight path of the drone from the day of the rally, and that's how we know that for about 11 minutes, from I think it's around 3:50 p.m. to 4 p.m., somewhere in that range, he was flying the drone, and we have the flight path. It's about 200 yards away from where former President Trump would ultimately be speaking, and so that would have primarily given him a vantage point. I'm trying to think how to describe this. If the former president's podium is that way, the drone would be over here looking, say 200 yards again off this way, looking back. So it would have shown the shooter, we think, again, we're still doing more work on this. I really want to qualify what I'm saying. I'm trying to be transparent and lean in here. We think it would have shown him kind of what would have been behind him.
But when you say behind him, behind the shooter.
Correct. Like, in other words, almost like giving him a rear view mirror of the scene behind him, except again, he wasn't flying it overhead while he was later back for the...
I'm just spotting people.
Drone, he would have been able to also assess kind of because the stage, I assume, was already set. He'd been able to assess that angle on the rooftop as well, forward and backward.
That was kind of funny.
Well, certainly going towards towards the podium. Again, we're still trying to figure out exactly what he saw, because we're having to, in effect, because there's no recording of what he saw during those 11 minutes. You know, our hypothesis.
Y'all ain't getting up here, man. I'm holding this bitch down for my team.
So we're trying to, in effect, say, okay, well, if this was the flight pattern, given these capabilities of the drone, what would you have seen? What could you have seen for those 11 minutes? Again, it wasn't over the stage.
I need a longer range weapon. The weapon doesn't have enough range on it.
200 yards away, but it looks like it would have been looking, let's say, you know, length of a football field or so, more, you know, kind of towards the podium.
Great, thank you, Mr.
How many separate times was the shooter on the premises?
So again, with the caveat that we're continuing to do work on it, we believe that the first time he traveled to the grounds was, I think, a week before. He spent roughly 20 minutes there. Then he went to the grounds again on the morning of the event, it appears, for about 70 minutes, I think. But again, I qualify that. I'd have to go back and look to be sure of that part. And then he came back in the afternoon. Well, that would be, I guess, the third time. Good. But that included things like this drone activity.
Gentleman from California is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, thank you for appearing. Thank you
here we
for
go.
the extraordinary job that you're doing.
Ugh.
Please convey our thanks to the men and women at the Bureau for their incredible work. I've worked with them since I was an assistant U.S. attorney more than 30 years ago. Let me start with a threshold question I'm curious about. When I applied to be an assistant U.S. attorney, I had to go through a background check.
Oh, good shit, man.
Do candidates for the FBI have to go through background checks?
Yes.
Would someone with dozens of felony convictions survive a background check for the Bureau?
No.
So they would never be hired by the Bureau?
No.
Well, clearly the Bureau has, you don't have to comment on this one, you won't, but clearly the Bureau has higher standards for their hiring in one of America's great political parties. Let me turn to the events of the...
Oh, what a piece of garbage. Oh, this scumbag.
The shooter's electronic communications.
Trump just got shot in the head, and he starts by criticizing Donald Trump.
Have you been able to make any deductions?
He starts with a pot shot at Donald Trump. What a... Oh, it's just despicable.
Team is getting punished. Like, punish.
So in terms of our ability to access it, we have been able to get into and exploit a number of electronic devices, digital devices, but not all of them yet. And then within his various accounts, we've been able to get access to some of them, but some of them we're still waiting on. Some of them we may never get access to because of the encryption issue.
Bro, that... Whoever did that, who was that? Killed by teddy bear.
Law enforcement all over the country. But we're still drilling into that. We have some information. Some places we've been able to look. Some places we will be able to look. Some places we may never be able to see, no matter how good our legal process is. But that's what we're looking at right now. In terms of what we've been able to find so far, a lot of the usual repositories of information have not yielded anything notable in terms of motive or like ideology. Having said that, it does appear fairly clear that he was interested in public figures, kind of more broadly, and I think this is important, that starting somewhere around July 6th or so, he became very focused on former President Trump and this rally.
Interesting.
And so one of the things that I can share here today that has not been shared yet is that we've just in the last couple of days found that from our review, to your point about devices, analysis of a laptop that the investigation ties to the shooter reveals that on July 6th, he did a Google search for, quote, how far away was Oswald from Kennedy? So that's the search, obviously, is significant in terms of his state of mind. That is the same day that it appears that he registered for the Butler rally.
And when you say that his electronic holdings indicated an interest in different public figures,
Yo, Teddy Bear, that was a solid fucking throw, bro.
Comfortable revealing about those public figures. Can you tell us anything generally about them? Either the
Yeah,
office
GG,
they hold, their
GG, man, that was a good throw with that
or
sim tip.
was it simply people of a high profile?
Well, a couple things. First, the images that we've recovered so far from, I can't remember which of his various devices, appeared to be what we call cached images from searches of news articles. So if you do a news article search, of course, if there are photos on it, those photos get stored automatically in your cache, as opposed to me searching or him searching for a specific person and getting up images of that person. As far as the pictures that are like that, doesn't seem to be a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it so far, other than these are all prominent public people, but they cover both parties, they cover both U.S. people and even some foreign public officials. So that part doesn't appear to, that one repository of information doesn't appear to be overly indicative of motive, other than interest in public figures, but that could be just because he was reading news stories. So we're still trying to drill into that. That's why all of these outstanding legal process returns that we're waiting on for various accounts, platforms, etc. Any one of them could be one that would have very indicative.
Do it on the court.
If I can be permitted one very short additional question, Chairman. From that, any indication of any other particular target? That is someone who was not just sort of generically the subject of the searches you described, but for which there was more of an interest than others?
There's the information I just described at the moment does not appear particularly indicative of targeting in its own right. But again, that dot, once we get other information, could connect in a way that might be more meaningful. But I'm sharing that piece of information with this committee and with the American public, but I think it's important that we put down a qualification. This does not appear to be some kind of target list or something like that. This is cached images from running searches.
This is one story that big archaeology and world governments...
No, what the fuck? Go back.
There's no pattern from that particular piece of information that is overly remarkable so far.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Director, you previously told us that you considered the situation on the southern border to be a massive security threat to our country. Is that still your assessment?
I stand by my prior testimony.
Good.
And in fact,
just go in.
In the last month or so, we've conducted a significant series of arrests. I say we, our Joint Terrorism Task Force is working with ICE of a number of individuals with suspected international terrorism ties. And I have also been very vocal about the fact that...
Sorry, guys, there was an update.
This is really since the last time I appeared before you, that we are increasingly concerned about the possibility, not just of a foreign terrorist-inspired attack, which is very much a concern, but even the potential for a coordinated foreign terrorist attack, perhaps like what we've seen against the concert hall in Russia, for example, but just here in the United States.
Well, the 19 suicide bombers who overstayed visas were responsible for 3,000 American deaths on 9/11. What's your best estimate of the number of foreign terrorists who are now in our country?
I don't know that I could give you that number. What I can tell you is we have lots of foreign terrorism related investigations, but that doesn't mean that all of them came in, illegally or anything like that.
It seems to me that the simplest act of terrorism would be for dozens of guerrillas to attack low security, high density venues, for example, Friday night high school football games all across the country at the same hour. With bombs and automatic weapons, that would produce thousands of casualties from coast to coast in a matter of minutes. How likely is such a scenario?
Well, what you're describing would require, of course, a lot of coordination. But what I will tell you, and I think you're onto a particularly important point from my perspective, which is that unlike the 9/11 attacks, which, again, I was in FBI headquarters on the day of 9/11, and so I remember it vividly, and I've spent plenty of time in the period after that in my prior positions engaged with the families and the victims. But what we're seeing more and more with the foreign terrorist threat, and frankly, also the domestic terrorism threat, is a focus on kind of like what you're talking about, well, what I would call soft targets, which is really for the American people's benefit, just intelligence community speak for where everyday people live their everyday lives.
What terrorist groups have now infiltrated our country that you're tracking?
Well, I don't know that I would say infiltrated. We have investigations as we speak that relate to ISIS and its affiliates. We have investigations as we speak that relate to Al-Qaeda. We have investigations as we speak that relate to Al-Shabaab. We have investigations as we speak that relate to the Iranian proxies, Hezbollah, and so frankly, even the IRGC Quds Force itself.
What foreign criminal gangs are now in our country?
Not doing that.
That you're most concerned with?
Well, foreign criminal gangs. I mean, we obviously have investigations, a lot of investigations into gangs like MS-13, for example, and some of its counterparts. Although I think if you were to talk to most chiefs and sheriffs, like I'm doing every week, we shouldn't underestimate how prevalent neighborhood gangs are. Really, it's a lot of the gang violence.
I'm concerned about those that we've allowed in through the southern border and what threat they are now posing. Do you believe that the vetting
hold on.
at the southwest border?
Give me a second, guys. I can't do that. It's going to show my credit card number. Ooh, that was close.
Terrorist or criminal gang ties are not
give me 1
released
second.
into the United States.
Well, it's not really for me to speak to the vetting. What I would tell you is that
you have to deal with it once they're released in the United States.
And one of the concerns that I have, which I touched on briefly in my opening, is there's been a lot of focus on the number of known or suspected terrorists encountered at the border, and that number has increased over the last 5 or 6 years, and that should be of concern. But frankly, to me, the bigger concern is individuals who weren't either weren't on the watch list at the time they came in because there wasn't information known yet that ties them to terrorism, and it's only after they get in that some new piece of information develops somewhere overseas, and now we know. That's a bigger concern.
We've been warned that they basically vet against a blank sheet of paper. They don't have a record in this country. Border Patrol probably doesn't have any record. They're released into the country. You find out later of the dangers.
Or if they use fake documents and there aren't biometrics to connect them. Sometimes there are people who come in who, because of the nature of the threat information that puts somebody on the watch list, there wasn't fingerprints from the person at the time, because not every piece of intelligence comes with fingerprints. So then the guy comes in using a fake ID,
and of course,
there's no reason to connect them.
And of course, the 2 million gotaways you know absolutely nothing about.
Well, I don't know about absolutely nothing, because we may come across them in other things. I mean, one of the key parts of our collective defense here is that we work with 800,000 sworn law enforcement across the country, and we train them on the right questions to ask and things like that, so that we can build in additional eyes.
There's a new weapon
and ears
here.
if
There's a new weapon here.
Happens to be, we run a greater chance of leveraging all that to pick up people who make.
I think we're going to grab this.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Director, we're about 100 days until election. Russia has attacked our democracy in past elections. Are they seeking to do it in this way?
We assess that the Russian government continues to want to influence and in various ways interfere with our democracy, with our electoral process. In fact, just in the last few weeks, we announced a significant disruption of a generative AI enhanced social media bot farm essentially of the Russians that was designed to be an influence operation, and some of the fictitious profiles of those bots purported to be U.S. persons. So they're still at it. We've seen that in election cycle after election cycle.
Do the Russians have a preferred candidate?
I'm not sure that I can speak to that here, but certainly what I would tell you is it's not just the Russians, and I think that's important for people to know too. There's a lot of attention to the Russians, as there should be, but we also know, you may recall that in 2020, Director Ratcliffe and I announced an effort by the Iranians to try to interfere, and more recently, we've had indictments related to China. 34 Chinese MPS officers creating fictitious personas, posting false information online, full of narratives designed to sow divisiveness, discord, undermine us. And I'm talking about narratives that they were pushing, again, purporting to be Americans, but actually Chinese MPS officers. For example, trashing any suggestion that COVID came from a lab leak, or trashing U.S. law enforcement on the occasion of the anniversary of George Floyd's death.
And shifting to the attempted assassination on the former president, I want to make it clear, in America, violence has never been the answer. Not on a certain day in January or a recent day in July. And I just want to go through the shooting just briefly with you.
I don't know why it keeps disappearing. It's so fucking annoying.
Officers were within the perimeter, just ballpark figure?
You know, that really goes to the security posture, which is the subject of the DHS Inspector General's review and the outside panel, independent panel that's been.
Would you say probably more than 100, though?
I have to believe that number, but I don't have that number at my fingertips. Our focus is on the shooter and his attack.
And the shooter was able to get 8 shots off before he was killed.
That's what it would appear, yes.
Type of weapon used by the shooter was an assault rifle?
Was an AR-style rifle.
So that means one trigger pull, 1 round. Is that right?
Essentially.
You like to shoot?
Do I? Yeah. Yes.
Do you know the difference between an AR and a bolt-action rifle?
I'm not going to try to sit here and engage on sort of firearms expertise, but I've fired a variety of weapons. But
had the shooter used a bolt-action rifle, would that have been one trigger pull, 1 round?
That's my understanding.
Would there have been more? Well, on an assault rifle, trigger pull round, bolt action, non-assault.
You can bolt action so fucking fast. A little bit slower, but not much.
He was able to get more rounds off more quickly than he would have with other kinds of weapons.
And that's my point, is that
we're not doing gun control, you stupid fucking Democrat. You can suck a fucking dick. We're not doing your fucking gun control. Get fucked. I'll fight the government before I give up my AR-15. Fuck this guy. This is what they do, right? The assassination, gun control wouldn't have stopped it. Like, it wouldn't have fucking stopped it. This fucking douchebag. Fucking dumbass Democrats.
So we'll devote more resources.
And FYI, I will be fucking playing with all my viewers watching, and there's not a few of you. Some people will come back and watch it. I don't like fucking Democrats. Viewer or not, I don't like fucking Democrats. If you're a Democrat, I don't care who you vote for, but I don't like them.
And we have allowed the most dangerous people to have access to the most dangerous weapons.
Oh, like a Chinese spy had access to you?
Yeah, like a Chinese spy you were fucking, you piece of shit.
Multiple mass shooter drills in their classrooms. I say that as a brother to 2 police officers who walk a very violent beat. And I say that as an elected official who believes that
he's a piece of shit.
Deserve
he fucked a Chinese spy and got caught for years.
We are at political rallies, so we really need to step back and think.
Fucking
if we allow these weapons to be
spy fucker. That's what they need to nickname him, spy fucker, because that's what he does. Fuck spies.
We truly protect, most importantly, our children and the next generation. I yield back.
Okay. Well, did you protect yourself against a Chinese spy
with us today? Some of us
you were sleeping with?
Go to Kentucky over the last few weeks and visit with Thomas and his family and hear all kinds of wonderful stories about Rhonda. Amazing lady, gentle spirit, and we're glad to have Mr. Massey back with us. And next 5 minutes belong to you, Congressman.
Thank you, Chairman. Director Ray, how many counter snipers were present at the rally that day, and which of the counter snipers took the shot?
Did it again.
Took out the would-be assassin.
I don't have the number of counter snipers. I know it was a Secret Service counter sniper who took the shot that eliminated the shooter. We've conducted a number of interviews, including of him.
So was it one of the two that we see in the videos on top of the roof, or was it a different location that was shot?
I'm afraid I don't have that at my fingertips here.
Okay. You mentioned that the would-be assassin bought a 5-foot ladder. You have credit card evidence of that, but it looks like on the scene there was a larger ladder that he might have used. Do you know which ladder he used to get to the roof? And do you have possession of that 5-foot ladder and the other ladder? And do you know how the taller ladder got to the scene?
So this whole business about the ladder is something we're drilling into more. We do have possession of the 5-foot ladder that he purchased close in time to his attempted assassination. That we traced the purchase
Shit
of
was
that
an
ladder
inside
from a
fucking job, bro.
bloodied
No way.
receipt,
They let him shoot.
had
They let him get
on
the shots off.
At the time, his body.
Feds
was
can get
covered on the
fucked.
roof. We do not yet know for sure how exactly he got up on the roof.
It's like an AK-47.
You know, various forensic pieces to try to kind of piece that together. So more to come.
Do you know where the 5-foot ladder was found or retrieved? Was it near the roof, or was it in Stoney's vehicle?
Neither. I don't have it in front of me, but I know that it was not. I know that it was not on scene, and I know that it was not in his vehicle. But we can circle back to you. And
Okay. Is there any evidence at all that he may have been in contact with somebody else before this occurred that may have had any prior knowledge or may have helped him plan this event?
Well, needless to say, that is a question that we're intensely focused on, because that would be incredibly meaningful. So far, underline, so far, we have not found any evidence of any accomplices or co-conspirators, foreign or domestic.
You're using geolocation data to see if his cell phone was near another cell phone, I presume?
Right, we're doing lots of different kinds of cellular analysis, geolocation stuff, looking at his accounts.
Oh, he got it off before I could flick it up.
From everything we've seen, which is consistent with what we've learned in interviews, you know, a lot of people describe him as a loner. That does kind of fit with what we're seeing in his devices. You know, his list of contacts, for example, is very short compared to what you would normally see from most people. Doesn't appear to be a whole lot of interaction between him, you know, face-to-face or digital with a lot of people.
Okay, thank you.
That doesn't mean there's not any, and that's why we're drilling.
Good shit.
We're trying
You
to
got
talk to
Thermite.
anybody
Gotta
who's
watch
had
him.
any engagement with him whatsoever, digital, you know, in person, classmates, coworkers.
Right. Appreciate that. And now I want to talk about another possible assassination attempt. And I'll start by showing a video of President Biden. And this is from recently. This is in the last month. If we can play that.
Gallows erected to hang the Vice President, Mike Pence. I think it's fair to say it's one of the darkest days in the history of America.
Okay. And he's referring to January 6th. Were there gallows erected to hang Mike Pence, as the president says here?
I'm not aware of any physical gallows. I can't remember whether, from a demonstration perspective, there may not have been some kind of replica or symbol of something like that.
That's my impression. Can we show? Can you raise that up so you can see it? It looks like there was some kind of prop that was built. The construction doesn't look like it lends itself to actually hanging somebody. It's more of a prop, I think, as you suggested, that was erected on January 6th. But if the president were correct, that these gallows were erected to hang Mike Pence, that would be a very serious allegation, wouldn't it?
I would take it very seriously, yes.
Has anybody been arrested, or do you have any leads in conjunction with the erection of this gallows? We had a picture here.
Oh, fuck, I missed.
Again, it was just up there. There's an individual here. you've seen on near these gallows? Has he been arrested? Have you identified this person?
You know, I don't know that I can speak to this specific person or the gallows that are pictured on the image. You know, we have had, I think, 850 people who have pled guilty to federal crimes related to January 6th, and I think another 180, I think it is, convicted at trials. So I can't be sure.
And some of them merely for going into the Capitol, but here the president suggests that individual intended to hang Vice President Pence, which seems like kind of a wild claim myself, given the construction of those gallows. But if we are to take them seriously, or even if we aren't, let me just finish by saying this. If you have no leads, or you're not sure if anybody who erected those gallows was arrested.
Bro, y'all are standing there, shoot them while I have them distracted. Come on, I mean, not that fucking hard.
Were there any confidential human sources involved from the FBI or any other agency?
Fucking team sucking dick, bro, right now. We're losing now. Fuck, we were winning. But...
All right, thank you. I yield back. Gentlemen, yield back.
Interesting.
Lady from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Director Wray. Political violence of any kind is dangerous, unlawful, and totally unacceptable. Just as we all watched and then unequivocally condemned the attempted assassination attempt on our former president, I wish that we could all come together to unequivocally condemn the act of political violence on January 6th, instead of defending props that were used that were harmful, dangerous props, gallows, attempting to show what people wanted to do to Vice President Pence. Extremists attempted to subvert our democracy in the worst assault on the U.S. Capitol since the War of 1812. Many of us were trapped in the gallery that day. We feared we would not make it out. Insurrectionists were chasing down former Speaker Nancy Pelosi and then Vice President Mike Pence. And I myself have been the direct target of political violence when an armed man with a gun showed up at my door, threatened me and my family, and we actually ended up having to move our home. So I understand the increased tenor of political violence that is racking our country. It has been on the rise, fomented by violent and dehumanizing rhetoric from top public officials, including the former president and members of Congress, sadly, and bolstered by the proliferation of easily accessible guns, including assault-style weapons. All of this violence is unacceptable, and I wholeheartedly condemn it. I just hope we condemn all of the violence, not just one or two incidents. Mr. Wray, today I want to focus on the role of the FBI and the need for the Bureau to remain politically neutral and independent. The FBI cannot and should not be subject to the whims of any president. The majority apparently doesn't think that the FBI needs to be politically neutral and independent. They want an FBI subordinate to the president, not accountable to the American people. That is one part of a larger plan to undermine our democracy, to remove the checks and balances that have protected us, and ultimately to subvert our freedoms. That agenda, promulgated by the former president, his loyalists, and their MAGA allies, is called Project 2025. It is publicly available online. I encourage everyone who's watching this to Google it. It includes plans
supporters of the president are dead
of our government, including the FBI.
And they're talking about how they're the victims.
2025 agenda says that the director of the FBI must not be independent of politics, but instead must do whatever the president orders. Under Trump's Project 2025, Trump loyalists would undermine the non-political and independent structure of the FBI. Project 2025 openly calls on the next conservative administration to support,
this
quote,
is why we lost
a
this guy
vast
right here.
expansion of the number of political appointees in every office across the DOJ, especially the FBI. And so, Mr. Wray, given your extensive experience as a law enforcement professional at DOJ across multiple Republican and Democratic administrations, why do you think it's important that the FBI maintain political independence from the president?
I think the FBI is and needs to stay independent, and that means protecting American people without fear or favor, upholding the Constitution and the rule of law, and it means following the facts wherever they lead, no matter who likes it. And I add that last part because the essence of independence and objectivity is not that an investigation is going to always yield the result you want. Our independence and objectivity can't only be respected when you like the outcome. That's the very essence of objectivity. Sometimes you're going to like the result, sometimes you're not going to like the result. That applies to everyone, including us. Any number of times we're disappointed and frustrated by the results of our investigations. But the alternative is an erosion.
You've already eroded it, bro. The fucking FBI, nobody on the fucking Republican side trusts the FBI anymore. They raided the former president's house. The court case got thrown out, so we know it was bullshit.
I'm not familiar with this particular
No, I didn't ask you to
Project
comment on that.
2025
No,
thing. I don't know anything about it, but what I can tell you is, from my perspective, the FBI needs to be functioning as independent. Doesn't mean it's not part of the executive branch. It doesn't mean the FBI director doesn't serve at the pleasure of the president, but it does mean that the way we do our work
has to be objective.
Has to be independent.
Yeah, thank you. I have another question about the role of attorneys at the FBI Office of General Counsel. How do we protect that work? The role, what role do the attorneys at the FBI Office of General Counsel play in ensuring that the Bureau respects the constitutional rights of American citizens? How do we protect that work?
So, in my experience, the lawyers in the Office of General Counsel play an incredibly important role in ensuring that our agents have their questions about how to comply with the law and conducting their work answered. And ensuring that we conduct our work in the right way, which means scrupulously adhering to the laws
They're pushing center.
that apply to us.
I just wanted to say before I yield, Mr. Chairman, that the Project 2025 also eliminates the FBI's Office of General Counsel in-house lawyers who are responsible for that work. I appreciate your indulgence.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentleman from Wisconsin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it was when you were here December
Our team
of last
sucks,
year,
bro. Our team sucks really bad.
You said blinking lights were going off in regards to the southern border and what is happening down there. Has the border situation improved in terms of your assessment with the security of Americans since you were last here in December?
Well, I guess a couple things, and I appreciate the question. So first, the blinking lights comment that I made refers more broadly to the threat environment that I'm seeing as FBI director across a wide range of threats. Contributing to that in a variety of ways are the threats that emanate from the border. So it's not a comment just on the border issues. It's the threat environment that we face more broadly, in my experience in law enforcement. I am increasingly concerned that foreign terrorists could seek to exploit vulnerabilities at our southwest border or at other ports of entry or in other aspects of our immigration system to facilitate an attack here in the United States. I think that is something we have to be concerned about. There's been a lot of focus on numbers of this, numbers of that, and I understand that. But as I think was referenced in an earlier question, it doesn't take very many foreign terrorists to be a real problem. We had 19 hijackers responsible for the 9/11 attacks. And we just not that long ago had a case, some of the members of the committee will remember, where we charged an individual for trying to smuggle individuals in to assassinate former President Bush.
Are you concerned that the Border Patrol chief, former Border Patrol chief Rodney Scott, said that he was concerned about very, very minuscule data that they're receiving? So there's all this. We are told that illegal aliens are vetted against databases, but oftentimes they're doing biometrics as they come into this country, but not looking behind it in their home countries. Does that concern you when there's not a review done in the home country?
Well, we certainly need as much help as we can get from the countries of origin of these people. When I say origin, not just where they come from originally, but countries they've come through. And the biometric enrollment piece is, of course, an important one. We have situations where even if...
Are we doing a thorough enough job of reviewing them, their actions and their lives in their home countries?
Well, I mean, we need more help from our foreign partners. There's no question about that. And I think that's an important part of it.
How about our domestic partners, like the CIA and others that are supposed to protect us?
So there's been a lot of discussion, of course, over the last several years about the pivot to what's called the hard targets, right? The understandable focus, which I support, of focusing on the threat posed by China and Russia and Iran. But with that comes, for example, the withdrawal from
A new
Afghanistan.
gun doesn't have the hitting power that I would expect it to have.
Information about foreign terrorist threats from overseas, and that is a concern to me.
Yeah, my time's running out. Has Vice President Harris met with you in regards to the border?
Well, I've been in meetings that have included the Vice President that have in different ways touched on border
Has she
issues.
specifically asked you for a meeting in regards to the threat that is at the border?
You know, I'm not going to get into sort of specific meetings, but I can tell you that I've been in meetings that have included, among other people, the Vice President that touch on border issues.
Did she ask you questions about what you thought needed to be done in regards to reducing this threat to the American people?
You know, I really can't get into specific conversations.
Is support for President Trump a security concern within the FBI?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Is support for President Trump a security concern amongst your employees?
Good question.
No.
Is objection to the COVID-19 vaccine a security threat?
Not from my perspective.
Who improved
This gun
what
sucks.
is termed the Trump questionnaire within the FBI that was done by SIIS? Dina Perkins, Jeffrey Ventry were behind it. Who was responsible for that? And did you know that there was a Trump questionnaire out there?
So the document you're asking about is an interview outline that we only recently learned about, and in my view is completely inappropriate. I asked my team to get to the bottom of what happened and to ensure that doesn't happen again, and I've learned that it's not an FBI form, that its use was isolated, that it was created not by an FBI employee, but by an outside contractor, and that individual is no longer affiliated with the FBI. We are sending what we have found to the Office of Inspector General, and we'll cooperate, of course, with any.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just close with this. We keep hearing about these isolated examples, whether it's Richmond Catholics, this instance. When is it? Isn't it a pattern? I yield back.
Gentleman goes back to Mr. Correa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Director Ray, welcome again to this committee. I want to thank you and your agents for good job you're doing to protect Americans. Earlier this week, I was part of the group that went out to visit Butler, Pennsylvania Homeland Security members. I agree with my colleagues that have said violence has no part in our democracy. And I trust you will investigate the events surrounding July 13th early. I'm going to ask you a question. Hope you keep it in mind as your investigation proceeds, which is, who's in charge? Who's in charge at a campaign rally, setting it up? Secret Service or a campaign? And I ask this question because when I was there, I had a couple of law enforcement individuals alluding to that question as well.
Oh, that dude was behind me. Where'd my guy go? There was my own teammate was just standing behind me.
If a Secret Service says you need to set up a line of dump trucks behind the stage to serve to protect the candidate, and the campaign says that's bad optics, who ends up winning the debate?
UAV's down.
So my question is, who's in charge? And as you investigate this crime scene, hope you ask the local elected officials, spoke to a county supervisor, local police and sheriff. We all had information they wanted us to know, to relay. We just didn't have the opportunity to sit down and talk to them. There was a lot of concern that they weren't given enough time to prepare for this rally. They thought there were things that could have been done better. And ultimately, what I keep thinking, what I keep coming back to is the question, who's in charge at these rallies? I think it's an important one because we have an election right around the corner. Pennsylvania, Butler, these areas, battleground states around the country will continue to be areas where candidates, both sides, will show up, and the threats will continue to be there. So I hope, Director A, that you'll keep that statement in mind as you continue to investigate this crime scene.
Oh,
I appreciate the question. I will tell you that we've conducted well over 400 interviews, but we have many more still to conduct. And as is not unusual in an investigation, I'm sure there will be situations where we have to go back to people we've already interviewed with follow-up questions. And our interviews cover a wide range of people. I do think it's important to make sure that the committee and the American people.
I need this gun to shoot just a tiny bit faster. I don't. It's TTK. It's too fucking slow.
Our investigation is focused on the shooter and his attack.
Or at least it
There
feels
is,
like
of
it's too
course,
slow.
And I understand completely why. There are two separate reviews. One by the DHS Inspector General, and the other by this outside independent panel that's been announced, that are focused on the security posture, the adequacy of the security posture at the rally, service decision making and actions and things like that. And so I certainly understand why there are all those questions, but those are in scope of those two other reviews, and of course whatever Congress chooses to do. Our investigation, though, because of our interviews of people who are on the scene, will relate to that in some ways.
Yeah,
and we're
I did
going to
really
share
bad. This gun
whatever we
fucking
learn
sucks,
that's relevant
man.
with those other reviews.
Director A, my last minute that I have, I'm going to flip quickly to your good job resources. Earlier this year in the Appropriations Committee, you testified that you were, for 2024, your budget was $500 million below what you needed to sustain your 2023 efforts. A few minutes ago, you talked about foreign terrorists. The last few weeks, I know information has emerged. That information came from FISA information that was able to be collected overseas on these possible terrorist threats. What we have here today is a domestic terrorist, what looks to be a lone wolf. Your statements, there's nothing really there that would have tipped anybody off to this individual. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Well, I don't know that I'd go quite that far, because we're still
Yeah, this is live, High
investigating,
Society. This is right
a
now.
lot related to the shooter. It does
Fucking
appear so
scumbag
far that
fucking
we're seeing
Democrats,
less
man.
in his-
My 6 seconds, I would just
It's
say.
the FBI
I would
director
ask
answering
that
questions
you
about the
let
Trump
us know what
assassination,
resources
and
you
I wanted to
need
listen to it, but it's going to be like 6
protect the
hours long,
American
so I'm just going to
public
stream
and
while I listen to it.
candidates in our democratic system.
I appreciate the question. I would just say this. We are in, as I've said consistently.
When you get
today
old,
and
the state of your
quite some
country is
time
more
now, we
important
are
than
an
fucking
elevated
anything
threat
else, bro.
covering a wide range of threats, and the FBI is central.
Dude, my
to
shirt is a
protecting
little
American
small
people
today. I think
from
my
those
wife
threats.
shrunk my shirt.
And state
Shirt
and local
feels
law
young as
enforcement,
fuck.
who depend on us every day, rely on us for all sorts of services, databases, forensic support, training. I could go on and on and on. And a lot of those departments, unlike the FBI, have had a hard time recruiting. And so this is not a time to pull back on our funding, because we're going to leave our brothers and sisters in state and local law enforcement twisting in the wind. And then by extension, the American people will all collectively.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Texas, right now.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Director Ray, for being here.
Here we go.
What did you
Chip
ask
Roy.
President Biden?
I don't have the exact date, but it's been certainly since the since the shooting.
So you have spoken to the president since the assassination attempt on President Trump's life?
Yes, sir.
And what was the mental state of the president?
We had a perfectly professional conversation.
And are you, do you have any scheduled briefings of the president upcoming?
Not at the moment specifically scheduled. No.
In 2016 and 2015, top FBI officials infamously texted about, quote, their insurance policy to make sure Trump was never elected or inaugurated as president. Have any FBI agents texted, emailed, or expressed disappointment that Trump survived the assassination attempt, or otherwise editorialized about the assassination attempt?
I don't know about any agents. There have been at least 2 instances, I think. One instance of an individual who posted something that I consider outrageous, totally inappropriate. And acceptable. And that individual has been referred to our inspection division, which is the arm, our sort of internal affairs investigatory arm.
Will you report back to this committee any other incidents?
I'll do my best to share information with you.
You testified
almost had a
the FBI
fucking,
maintains high standards
almost had a goddamn
irrespective
swarm.
of so-called diversity efforts. Is it true that in December of 2016, former Director Comey lowered the passing standards for Phase 1, allowing an influx of previously unqualified applicants to continue in the hiring process who normally would have been stopped back in December of 2016?
Yeah, I can't speak to Director Comey's
what were the
changes. I can tell you that at least since I've been director, changes that we have made to.
Well, we're standing on a specific question. Where standards changed. Phase 1 was a specific part of the process. Were they changed in 2016?
Well, I don't recall if they were changed in 2016. Obviously, I started, as your question presupposes, after that. What I can tell you is, since that time, we have made changes to various phases of the process, but none of them, this is important, none of them lowered the standards. In fact, if anything, they actually increased.
Are you familiar with reporting that we have, and we've asked questions to you about this? I'm not sure the result of the questions that are more quote easily accommodate a large pool of available applicants. FBI special agent hiring standards have been relaxed and requirements measurably lowered. This, according to a group of former agents who have testified about this and written a report and submitted it to Congress. In addition, specifically, minority people with 20-year careers, one in particular, a minority served for more than 20 years, wrote in this report and submitted it to Congress saying these standards were in fact lowered, and that in fact, if you were hiring, you were moved off of hiring if you put quality above these kinds of DEI requirements. Do you reject this report? Do you have comments on this report?
I haven't read.
You're aware of the report.
I'm aware of the report. I know that I've read every detail of it, but I can tell you that the claim that we have lowered our standards to be less selective, less competitive, is not accurate.
So do you believe these former agents are lying to Congress when they submit a report to Congress stipulating and suggesting otherwise? Or are you saying that they are lying?
I'm saying they're mistaken.
Okay, but they're affirmatively on the record. They're telling us and submitting a report to Congress saying that those facts are directly in contradicting what you're testifying here today. So I just want to be clear so we know we're saying that they are submitting evidence to our records to the contrary that you say is untruthful.
I encounter all the time when I travel around the country and have conversations with our agents, and one of the things I try to do is have meetings with some of the longer serving agents without executive management.
That's okay. My only question is,
and my point here's
the implication is it's untruthful. So I need to move on. I got 1 minute left. Are you familiar with the case of Paulette Harlow? She's a 75-year-old elderly woman from Massachusetts with a debilitating medical condition. She was prosecuted for violating the FACE Act and sentenced to 2 years in prison. She has to go to Texas in 2 weeks. She was praying at an abortion clinic in Washington, D.C. The FBI interrogated and investigated her. Do you think it is appropriate for a 75-year-old woman who is praying at a clinic in D.C. to be put in prison for 2 years for that activity? Just a simple question. Do you think that's appropriate?
I'm not familiar with the specific case.
You're not familiar with that case. It's been significantly in the headlines, but you don't know how to comment on that case, that it's appropriate for a 75-year-old woman to be put in prison for 2 years for praying at a clinic.
Again, since I'm not familiar with the case, I don't want to start weighing in because I don't know all the facts. But what I can tell you is that when it comes to FACE Act enforcement and abortion-related violent extremism, I think one of the things that gets lost, and I appreciate the opportunity to clarify it, is that really since the Dobbs decision, actually more of our abortion-related violent extremism investigations have focused on violence against pro-life facilities as opposed to the other way around. We've had a number of investigations. We're using FACE Act resources and our JTTF.
We're still waiting on responses on letters that we've sent indicating the data to the contrary. There's been significant amount of efforts in targeting of people who are pro-lifers to the clinics, and that they've been prosecuted, like this case, a 75-year-old woman who is now going to jail in Texas for 2 years because she was praying at a clinic in Washington, D.C. And we've submitted questions on that, and I'd appreciate a response on it. Yield back.
Gentleman yields back to the lady from Pennsylvania's records.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Director Ray, for being here and for the work that your team does, as well as for sharing the information that you've been able to today. You just have a couple questions about it seemed to imply that there was some problem with the FBI.
She looks worse than Biden.
Certainly, the 1950s version of the FBI was singularly Caucasian male agents, etc.
Why is everything about race with Democrats? Everything.
What are you, translucent?
Everything is about race.
Are you a ghost?
When it comes to Democrats, it's all race. It's all division shit. It's not policy. They never talk about fucking
but like
policy.
everything else, it has to be done the right way. I think we can have a more diverse workforce and do it without lowering our standards, and that's, in my view, what we've done.
And you haven't lowered standards at the FBI.
We have not. I repeatedly come across people who are confused about different parts of that, and I appreciate the opportunity to set that straight.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we're all concerned here as we've seen the rollout of this Project 2025.
That's all they talk about. They have no other talking points. All they talk about is Project 2025, which has nothing to do with the fucking president. It has everything to do with the Heritage Foundation, nothing to do with Trump.
So what I did want to talk about
It's
today
fucking hilarious.
is something some of my colleagues had mentioned, which is the normalization of threats and violence against public servants.
Yeah, because y'all are fucking corrupt. If y'all weren't corrupt, people wouldn't be threatening you. You're fucking corrupt, so people threaten you. You're a piece of shit Democrat. You deserve the fucking threats. Get fucked, you dumb bitch. Like, you're a piece of shit. That's why you get threats. You're a piece of shit. If I was a piece of shit, I'd probably get threats too. I'm not a piece of shit, I'm just an asshole.
But words do matter, and they have consequences, particularly when uttered by people in positions of leadership. So that's
Fucking
why I
wild,
remain
bro. This
very
dumb bitch
concerned
needs to
by
shut the
willingness
fuck
of
up.
Some members of Congress to repeat disinformation and conspiracy theories that undermine trust in our public institutions, which serve all Americans. And when elected officials embrace overheated or fact-free rhetoric, it becomes dangerous. I have been heartened, as many national leaders have unequivocally condemned.
If y'all weren't corrupt and you weren't pieces of shit, the public wouldn't fucking hate you.
Continue to do so regardless of the party affiliation of the perpetrators or the targets of such threats. You and our other national security officials have repeatedly warned us that foreign actors are actively working to spread disinformation, to influence our elections and discredit our public institutions, and we shouldn't be aiding and abetting them. So to live in a country that we aspire to, where our most valued democratic processes like free and fair elections can be carried out unimpeded, and people can run for office, serve their communities, and exercise their right to vote without fear of violence, we've had some concerns about violence around our elections. In 2020, the endorsement and promulgation of falsehoods about the election results by the former president and his campaign led to threats and attacks against election officials and poll workers in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, because they cheated on the fucking election. They kicked out the people that observed. They blocked the fucking windows. You stupid fucking cunt. There's a reason you are fucking corrupt. The Democratic Party is fucking corrupt. You dumb bitch. Jesus Christ.
Civil servants can do that important work free from conspiracy theories and threats.
Stupid fucking cunt. I hate fucking Democrats, bro.
Law enforcement across Pennsylvania
Giving a speech.
Yeah, she's not asking questions. She's giving a speech about the election. That's not what this is about. This is about the assassination. It's fucking so dumb.
Battle should obviously be a war of words over policy and the vision.
I can't close. For some reason, Call of Duty's not closing.
Not an actual civil war. So how is the FBI working with state and local law enforcement to prevent and respond to election-related violence, particularly against election workers?
So in a variety of ways,
Great speech.
we're partnering with state and local law enforcement. Obviously, the physical security in the first instance, in most of the respects you're talking about, is in the ordinary course, the responsibility of state and local law enforcement. But we play an important role in a number of ways. So we share, threat bulletins, information like that about things to be on the lookout for, things we're seeing. If we ever have specific threat information,
Fucking
then we
dumb
work to get
bitch.
to the right people. We have election crime coordinators, which we've had for
I hate
decades,
fucking Democrats,
in
bro,
all
with the
56
passion.
Field offices who have existing relationship with.
I
not just
despise
state and
them. I
local law enforcement,
despise
but
the
election
left.
Officials,
Gaslighting fucking garbage.
Threat-related issues.
Talking about
And then,
Civil
of course,
War?
we're
Sometimes I pray
participating
for that
in
shit
the
because I fucking hate
Election
them.
Threats Task Force that DOJ set up, which is focused on threats of violence or actual violence against election workers specifically, and we've had a number of arrests and even some convictions already on that.
Thank you for your input. I yield back.
Yeah, you gave a speech, you stupid bitch. Shut the fuck up.
Approximately another half an hour. Then we'll break for the Prime Minister of Israel's address to the Congress on the floor, give you a chance for lunch, and then resume after that. But we'll keep pushing through for the next half hour if we can. Gentlelady from Indiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director Ray. I think you have a little bit better tone in conversation, so I appreciate it, and answer some questions, so I appreciate it. Hopefully you'll answer also on 2 letters that I sent you over a year ago, one related to Durham report, and the other one related to Russian infiltrated SBU that collaborated with FBI, so hopefully we'll get these answers, and hopefully we'll start doing authorization. Don't you think doing authorization would help us to get better answers? The Congress should probably work in authorizing new agency. Don't you agree with that?
We work very hard to try to get information to this committee and to other committees.
But authorizing spending probably would be a good thing for us to do. Don't you agree?
Oh, I'm sorry, authorizing what?
Our spending, not just doing appropriating, but actually doing authorization of spending through this committee.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We might start doing that. But we can talk about, and a lot of my colleagues on the other side, AR-15 gets a lot of bad rap, like to bring it up, this issue. But really, there are a lot of hunting rifles that probably, maybe even more accurate than a lot of ARs. And don't you agree? We have like millions, right? Don't you agree? We have millions of rifles owned by law-abiding Americans. So do you think we should be taking them? Millions of rifles from law-abiding Americans? What do you think about that? Would that be something feasible, and really we should be doing that?
Well, again, I'm not going to be addressing anybody's specific legislative proposal. From our perspective, from the FBI's perspective, the concern is any dangerous weapon in the wrong hands.
But all weapons
in the
are
hands
dangerous.
of the wrong person.
But all weapons are dangerous, right?
I'm sorry?
You let him get
All weapons
behind
are
us, bro.
dangerous.
Really?
Knives are dangerous.
Sure.
Explosive are dangerous. There are a lot of
weapons are by their very
but are we going to be
definition.
confiscating, hunting rifles and rifles for millions of Americans? Do you think it's even feasible to do something like that from law-abiding citizens?
It's not something I'm advocating.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So we have to go back. That was a catastrophic failure of security. That's what's happened, recently with attempted assassination. Don't you agree with that?
Well, I think former Director Cheadle has already publicly acknowledged that it was, I think her words were, a significant operational failure.
Then we had, similar situation, a different, talking about bad optics. Speaker Pelosi at that time didn't want to have bad optics on January 6th, and we didn't have proper security here on January 6th. That was a catastrophic failure too. Are we looking at that? Any one conclusion was made from that? Have we made any adjustments? Because I know a lot of people, got hurt now just being here. It was a lot of cases bringing up the Department of Justice, and a lot of them were really just law-abiding Americans that really just upset with the government, and they have a reason to do it. So I think we need to think about it before we prosecute, or instead of actually, looking how we can deal with real criminals and how we can have a proper security when we have events with so many people there. So did you have confidential human sources? I think you never answered that question on January 6th.
How did that flashbang not hit
Did you
him?
have some?
I'm sorry, what's
Confidential human sources. Did you have them on January 6th in the Capitol?
Again, I'm never going to be getting into when and where we
Okay,
have
are you
have not used confidential human sources. But
Are you willing to stand the record that you had no confidential human sources that went into Capitol in January 6th?
as I've said consistently, I'm not going to get into where we have or have not used confidential human sources. I can tell you that if you are asking if the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some operation orchestrated by FBI sources or agents, the answer is no.
No, I didn't ask you that. I asked, so did you investigate any confidential human sources? Did you do any investigation and looking at that? So you're not answering if you had any or not. So if you had potentially, did you do anything you needed to make sure to investigate that none of your sources did anything wrong. If they did wrong, they were prosecuted the same way, like you're trying to prosecute a lot of people that really, even in Supreme Court ruled recently that some unconstitutional charges.
Let me just add that there have now been, I think, 180 individuals who've gone to trial, in addition to the 850 who've pled guilty.
Right, but I think the problem is with these charges, a lot of people would plead guilty. But let me say just quickly, because I only have 10 seconds, really. So I hope you will take seriously what you're doing. You know, related to the border security is also a crisis. You know, your vice president was leading on that. Has she initiated meetings with you to lead, like weekly or monthly meeting where she actually get briefings from you as a leading border czar that had that function? Have you had that? Has she initiated any meetings on a regular basis with you?
Again, gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman can respond.
Right. I on this issue of confidential human sources, number one, I will say there is a DOJ OIG in
fuck! I didn't even see. I didn't see him until after I fucking.
Some of these kinds.
He had already started climbing. I don't know how he got.
I believe, but I won't.
Got me so quick.
Second, as to this suggestion,
this gun is not my favorite gun.
All too many
now.
times that somehow January 6th was orchestrated by FBI agents or sources. I will note that in addition to my prior comments, that there have now been 850-ish. Individuals who've pled guilty, another 180 who've gone to trial. They've all had access to defense counsel, discovery, all the things the Constitution and the rules provide them. It's been in front of something like 15 different judges, I think dozens of juries, and not one has given credence to this notion. And in fact, I don't think any of them have even really seriously tried to raise it. So it's not just my word for it, it's happening in cases.
Gentleman from Colorado.
That's actually literally false. What he just said there is completely and totally
perjury.
false.
He just perjured himself. Got him. Got him. FBI director perjuring himself in front of Congress, that's contempt. That's a felony. He'll no longer be FBI director if they have their way.
In investigating the horrific events of July 13th.
Damn it, man. That gun is too slow on the spin around.
I would first just ask, do you believe that the FBI has the adequate resources to ultimately ensure that your agency gets to the bottom of it and fully investigates this terrible crime?
Well, we are devoting massive amounts of resources to this specific investigation. We have easily several hundred FBI agents, analysts, and professional staff working on it. It involves over half of the FBI's 56 field offices, almost every headquarters division. We even have some of our overseas offices working on it. You might say, well, why is that? Well, because some of the companies that involve accounts or purchases or communications or what have you that the shooter used are foreign companies, so we have to get evidence from overseas from those companies. I've talked about our lab a little bit earlier today.
He's laying down in there.
That's so fucking working on the digital devices. We have our behavioral analysis unit, our BAU, working on helping us build out a profile of the shooter. I could go on and on and on. So it's all hands on deck on this case, as I think is appropriate. Now, when you ask about our resources, I've been public about the fact that the fiscal year 24 budget put us $500 million below where we needed to be to sustain current operations.
Maybe you can give up your private jet.
FY25, the current House mark would put us significantly further back behind.
Yeah, I'm fucking sucking ass right now, bro, with this gun. I do not like this fucking gun at all. This gun just isn't, it does not shoot fast enough.
We arrested something
There's
like
multiple
50
issues with it.
per day, every day, last year. The current mark would mean more violent criminals on the street, more neighborhoods at risk. We have about a 1,300% increase in our investigations related to China and its targeting of us. And I can assure you, China's not cutting its budget. This would mean more threats from China. We have something like 300 to 400 investigations just into cartel leadership. And about hardly a week goes by when some FBI field
Fuck, man, I keep getting
office
2-on-1
isn't
everywhere I
enough
go.
to wipe out an
I
entire
don't like
state.
this. It
Those-
shoots
that
too fucking
mark,
slow, man.
those cuts means more.
I mean, I'm sure
fentanyl on
there's
the
an
street,
attachment
more
that'll
people
fix
dying.
that, but
So the
until
people
it's
who suffer the
fixable.
most our
It's
state
upstairs.
local law enforcement and the American people.
I don't like this fucking gun.
So
Let me
look
just
forward to
say-
working with Congress, but we really need to be smart about what we're doing, and I think that would be a step in the wrong direction given the threat environment.
And I couldn't agree with you more, Director Ray. And of course, we've talked about this during previous hearings in which you've testified. And to be clear, that I think the budget that House Republicans have proposed, which is a $5 million cut to the FBI, would do precisely what
Yeah,
you
this
described,
gun is
and
just.
deleterious impacts for public safety across our country, and the House Democrats are certainly working to prevent those cuts from taking place. You've talked at great length about the events of July 13. There's justifiably a lot of public interest.
Dude, this gun, man. I don't know what it is about this
Wonder
gun.
If you might, if there's anything that you'd like to disclose or provide to the committee or to the public that perhaps has not yet
Weapon
been gleaned
doo-doo.
during the course of this hearing, just give you an opportunity. There's a lot of folks related to the investigation.
Yeah, dude, it will not kill people. Like, what the fuck?
Pretty fresh here. We had some
This gun sucks
conversations
dick,
with some
bro.
members about the access to the roof and the ladder and so forth. And our evidence response teams and their forensic collection, we now believe that the subject climbed onto the roof
7 and
using
20 with
some
this piece of shit
mechanical
weapon.
equipment
Jesus Christ, that's the worst game
on
I've
the
played in like a
ground
week.
and vertical piping on the side of the AGR building.
It's just.
In
It
other
doesn't
words,
have the rate of
do not
fire.
believe he used
Like, I
the
don't know. It just
ladder
seems like
to
it
get
shoots really slow. The TTK on it's really long.
One question, if the chairman might indulge.
I guess if it has a good long range on it, maybe
an article
it's good for
recently
range combat.
regarding several former Trump administration national security officials who had received a duty to warn briefing from the FBI regarding the potential threat from Iran. And I think there is this article made clear deep concern that these individuals have justifiably so about the threat level, and particularly given the events of the last several months.
Why do I keep getting
and the
disconnected?
need for there to be an increased security posture and security personnel for former officials who may very well still be at risk. And I don't know if you're familiar with that article. I'm trying not to use names here, but I think would perhaps follow up with your agency and with the Department of Justice more broadly to ensure that any individuals who are potentially facing a threat from Iran or another hostile actor in a foreign nation have the resources they need to have the security available to them.
So again, without reference to any specific individual, I want to be very clear about this because I've tried to be vocal on this, but it sometimes doesn't get noticed as much, which is that in my view, the Iranian government has been extremely aggressive and brazen. We have seen in the last few years an attempt, I'm speaking just from public information now, an attempt to assassinate a former U.S. National Security Advisor on U.S. soil. We have seen an attempt first to kidnap and then to try to murder an American dissident / journalist who was a critic of the Iranian regime, right smack in the middle of New York City. We have seen a cyber attack against a children's hospital in New England that ties back to Iran. We have seen, as I've testified before, as Director Ratcliffe and I announced, an effort by the Iranians to target the 2020 presidential election. And that's all before you even get to the fact that the Iranian government is the leading state sponsor of terrorism. So if that's not enough to convince people that Iran is a threat, I don't know what is.
But Director, was there a distinction between what the gentleman from Colorado raised and what you just said, this general concern in these specific incidents you talk about, and a direct specific threat on President Trump that's distinct from what you've been describing as this general concern with Iran?
Well, again, I can't get into specific pieces of class.
And if so, when? If it was a distinct threat on President Trump, when did that take place?
Yeah, all I can tell you, certainly in this kind of setting, is targeting of U.S. officials for the Soleimani strike is something that is a reality that the Iranian government has at times called for very publicly. And whenever there is reporting, let me try to answer your question this way. Whenever there is reporting about any of those protectees, we share the information in a variety of ways, working with the intelligence community, working with whoever is the protective service with responsibility for that individual, and we do it in a timely way using the duty to warn process that was just referred to. And to my knowledge, everything along those lines that's relevant was shared in a timely way with the relevant.
Thank you. Gentleman from Wisconsin.
Director Ray, thanks for being here.
I'm gonna watch him again if he kills me. There was a very snappy lock on that happened when he fucking...
As director.
It was a very, very snappy lock on.
About to have dinner with family, and I was horrified and angry.
I'm just thinking, the reason I asked the question is because I'm still trying to figure out kind of lanes what the FBI would respond to.
Bro, y'all gotta fucking move out of the spawn, man. We're all fucking...
Can you just kind of cover that again?
Jesus Christ, I'm about to leave this match.
The FBI is not responsible for, has never really been part of our mandate or mission for the physical security of venues, of specific protectees, or anything like that. That's, if it's somebody with
Shoot him!
service
Oh my
scope,
God,
that's their
bro.
mandate and mission.
I swear to fucking Christ.
We are a law enforcement and intelligence agency, and so if you think about it this way,
Stupid
we're the Federal
fucks,
Bureau of
man.
Investigation. We're not the Federal Bureau of Security. You might say, well, what's the difference? Well, there is a difference. We investigate crimes. We investigate threats to national security, but we don't. Questions about security posture, adequacy of resources and assets that were deployed to protect a specific individual, whether there's enough security, and certainly the staffing of that security is not something the FBI, again, we're 116 years old, has historically done.
So at this point, have you been able to go through the shooter's home?
Damn it. He's got a sniper. I'm gonna switch to a sniper and a shield and get back in that same spot.
So we have been able to search the shooter's home. So again, just sort of tying your first question to your second question now, you know, our role is to conduct an investigation of the shooter and the attack. And so we're going to conduct a painstaking, intense investigation of that. We have, among other scenes that we've processed using evidence response teams, in addition to the rally scene itself, of course, we have been through the individual shooter's home, his bedroom, the other parts of the house, etc.
Have you been able to establish that he did go to a range and either throw that weapon in or, you know, at least target shoot that weapon prior to the assassination attempt?
So we do assess that he went to a shooting range the day before, not the only time he went to a shooting range. He was a fairly avid, might be a little strong, but a fairly avid, you know, shooting hobbyist. And so he went to belong to different sort of clubs and went to certain ranges.
Ah, he's quick.
We
Okay,
do,
let's do this.
believe, based on what we've seen so far, that he went to a shooting range the day before, and that he shot an AR-style rifle at that range the day before. I'm not sure we know for sure that it's the weapon that he used, but I think we assessed that it probably is.
Have you been able to interview his parents?
Yes, we have.
And was there anything that was gained from that interview that would lead you to believe that they certainly were aware of what was going on?
I guess I want to be careful about talking about specific people's interviews, but I would say that his parents were cooperative with us. And as I've said before, and hopefully this gets at your question, we have not identified any accomplices,
good throw,
conspirators, or anything along those lines.
So it's the FBI's position right now that he still acted independently.
Again, we're still, I know it seems like a lifetime since July 13th, but we're still early stages, but we have not seen anything so far that would suggest to us that he acted with others.
How does the FBI view not just a Trump rally, but political rallies versus other types of events, you know, from a security perspective, compared to a college football game or any mass, large crowd type gathering?
Oh, how did that not blow him up too? Ain't no fucking way. It was right in his fucking face.
Swallow at this point is that
That's fucking crazy.
These Trump rallies have been happening for years, and that there could be such a lax approach to the physical security of those fairgrounds that day. And I'm wondering, you know, where does this fall? And then on top of that, that there were other presidential candidates out there that didn't have full Secret Service protection. RFK Jr. has been the most vocal about it. I was wondering if you could comment on the facilities as well as providing security for presidential candidates.
Well, again, I want to be a little bit careful to stay in my lane because, again, security.
Damn it, man! I
posture
can't. The sniper stopped fucking sniping.
Is really the core expertise and responsibility of agencies like the Secret Service. But certainly, it is, I think, fair to say that outdoor events, whether they're political rallies or, as you say, you know, a college football game, an open stadium, a concert, these are places that are often, you know, particularly challenging to secure adequately because the range of threats that can face them are higher. In addition to that, has been discussed a little bit here already in today's hearing, just threats to public officials, including politicians, is an increasingly pervasive part of today's landscape, and so that adds to the challenge. So you're talking about the combination of
how's he get through that flinch, man?
Who are increasingly
he got through that flinch really easy, which is odd.
Combined with venues that are softer and harder to secure targets, I guess is the way I would answer. But again, those kinds of questions, the adequacy of the security posture, all the resources that were or were not devoted, all that stuff, to my understanding, would be very much in scope for the DHS Inspector General investigation and this outside independent panel.
Gentleman yields back. Director, I think we're going to be able to get two more members' times of question, then we have to get to the floor. Gentleman from Georgia's recognized.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, and thank you so much, Director Ray, for your transparency and your testimony today. First, I want to say my friend, my mentor, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, was known by many as the voice of reason here in Congress. And she was my friend before I even came to Congress.
She's a dumb cunt. She's dead now. Good.
Under her wing, and she kind of showed me the ropes. And she was a force to be reckoned with. And
there's no way. This gun is so shitty, bro.
And she was a trailblazer, and I know.
I mean, it's so hard to kill people with this gun.
Congress. Director Ray, I only have one question for you today, but before we get to that point, I'd just like to reiterate today that political violence is never acceptable. Regardless of how different our political values and views are, attempted assassinations are staying to the very democratic ideals of this nation. We have endured riots on Capitol Hill on January 6th, where a literal noose was erected on Capitol grounds.
How are they shooting me through that? Oh, I didn't get down quick enough.
Political violence against election workers, that has been expressed today. An attack on Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband.
By a leftist.
Threats against the FBI agents, as you have expressed, and prosecutors, and threats to the staff.
Yeah, this weapon, man. I don't know, guys. I don't know about this new assault rifle. Seems kind of whack.
Congressman Connolly's staff was targeted and attacked last year. And now we have the attempted assassination of a former president of the United States. All of this within just the last
0.47. This gun. I have yet to get a positive KD with this gun.
The assassination attempt on Donald
Actually, I'm
Trump
an animator.
bro,
I don't buy art. I mean, thanks for dropping in, Nora Hazel, but I don't buy art. And I don't follow people on Discord.
An AR-15 generally has a shooting range up to 600 yards. And shot Mr. Trump from.
It's funny because they go out. AR has such long range, bro. I know fucking hunting rifles that shoot 3 times that distance.
People in seconds, and sadly,
they just push gun control. That's all they're trying to do.
Compatour lost his life because of this man and because of this gun. Mr. Compatour's
he lost his life because of your party.
Trust me, I understand that more than anyone else in this room. Is the near loss of a former president enough for this Congress to finally take action?
No, it's not, because Americans ain't giving up their guns, so shut up, you dumb bitch.
That are already standing in the wings
ready to take immediate action to ban assault weapons
Nope.
today.
Nope. Not happening.
We need only 12 more of our colleagues to join us in courage and move the legislation to save lives of so many.
Get fucked, you dumb bitch.
Of the people that we are elected to serve by removing assault weapons from the hands of people who simply should not have them in their
What,
possession.
the American people? Like, what the fuck? Who are you taking them
Crippling our
from?
democracy, and we are ripping apart our fellow Americans until we do. I ask today, because it is clearly it wasn't enough to take action when the lethality of assault weapons, we lost 26 and 7-year-olds.
No one cares.
And 6 teachers.
We could have lost
in
1,000 people. Still not giving up, especially after this, still not giving up my guns. I need my guns to defend myself against the Democratic
3 more
Party.
teachers in 2018, nor was it enough when we lost 19 more children and 2 more teachers in 2022. Well, is it enough now? Now that a former president, the very president and many of you in this room are hoping will be reelected, almost lost his life because this
Yeah, but we
Congress
don't blame the
has failed to
guns. We blame the
reinstate an
person.
assault
There's a
weapons
difference. You don't blame the tool. You
ban
blame the
that, by
person.
way, Republicans joined with Democrats the past 30 years ago. Well, fine.
Well, we're not passing it now because y'all have made America so fucking dangerous that I have to carry my AR-15 in my truck to not get
This
carjacked.
bill focuses on the components of the semi-automatic firearms and regulates their infrastructure, sale, and transfer. This, again, is not the time for thoughts and prayers. This is a time for action.
No one's sending thoughts and prayers. No one died.
Director Ray, just one question I have for you.
I guess the one firefighter
Would
did.
you
Still not
rather
sending
have
thoughts
your
and prayers.
officers
Fuck Democrats. I'm not giving up my
protected
guns.
or protect someone against an assault weapon being shot from 147 yards away, or
That's
standard
such a
pistol
short
with
shot.
no accessories attached?
Well, again, I'm going to refrain from appearing to comment on specific legislative proposals, but I can tell you that we are certainly concerned about the danger to law enforcement from any kind of high-powered weapon in the wrong hands. It hits close to home for us because just not that long ago, 2 great agents, Lord Schwarzenberger and Dan Alphen, down in Miami, executing a search in a crimes against children case, were shot and killed by a suspect. So, again, dangerous weapons in the wrong hands is something that, of course, from a law enforcement perspective, but I'm not going to wade into the legislative process.
Well, thank you for that answer. I'd rather give our agents a fighting chance. Now you'll back.
Gentlelady yields back, gentleman forward.
Yeah, we don't want to give your agents a fighting chance because we may have to fucking go after your fucking people because y'all are corrupt.
$1 billion a year. Excuse me, on the Secret Service, $3 billion. And it would seem that we could and should have had a better job done a few weeks ago than what we saw. Will you have anything to say about correcting what are the obvious deficiencies in what the Secret Service did?
Well, for the most part, the deficiencies or adequacy or inadequacy of Secret Service's performance, decision-making, resources, all that stuff is in the purview of those 2 other investigations. That is the DHS Inspector General and the outside independent analysis. Having said that, our investigation, which, as I've testified now, involves several hundred FBI employees and every asset we can bring to bear. Again, our investigation.
Come on, guys. I gotta push Bravo, man. I don't know what y'all are doing. Not pushing Bravo, though.
Law enforcement, including lots and lots of Secret Service. So we'll share all that with those reviews so that they can answer those questions.
The reason I'm asking this is because this isn't the first time the Secret Service has been before Congress. There was a 435-page report issued in 2015 by Congress saying, fix yourself. They didn't. In fact, there was a follow-up in 2019 where they had only done a few of the, I think it was 18 or 19 different specific things they were supposed to do. They'd done some, certainly not all. There was another follow-up in 2022, and again, the Secret Service had not done what Congress had asked. I guess my question to you, Mr. Director, is what should Congress do? A 435-page report 9 years ago, and still the Secret Service didn't do what it was told to do then. Can you help, Director Ray? Because this epic performance is not acceptable.
Well, I think even former Director Cheadle has acknowledged that this was a significant operational failure. There are ways for the FBI to be helpful beyond what we're already doing in terms of our investigation. We stand ready to try to be helpful. I do want to say, as somebody who's been in law enforcement for most of my career, I've worked with some phenomenal Secret Service agents. Going all the way back to my time as a line prosecutor, and they have an incredibly hard job. And I have a lot of affection and respect for the men and women of the Secret Service.
I'm sure you do, and I'm sure you're right. But the trouble is, when Congress says you need to do these 19 things and they don't, there's something needs to change. Now, the director has resigned, but you're going to be in a position, because your agency is doing such a careful review, to say a lot about what should have been done. I guess the real issue is much more what the higher-ups in that agency are or are not doing, and perhaps that's on us.
And we will share with those reviews anything that we come across that should be helpful or relevant to them for those.
Let me quickly go to some details on the actual events. It appeared to a lot of us, as the Secret Service was taking former President Trump from the stage, that he was clearly still in view of everybody. And had there been another shooter, I didn't see him being protected. Are you going to raise that issue?
I think that's really more in scope of these two other reviews.
Let me go both of them. Okay, that's fine. Let me go to the shooter as he was on top of the roof. Apparently another officer from another police division saw him and quickly ducked down because the shooter aimed a gun at him. And then the shooter apparently, was he prone at the time he took the shot toward the president?
So my understanding is that the local officer who that we're talking about, with the assistance of another local officer, was able to kind of get up and see onto the roof where he observed the shooter. I believe
almost got my
in a
shield up in
prone
time.
Shooting position. The shooter then turned and faced him, the local officer, with a weapon.
From the prone position.
That's my understanding.
And then he went back to the prone position.
And this is all seconds before the.
I can't get. This gun just doesn't kill people. The shield kills more people than this gun kills.
That one I'd have to double check on. I know we've interviewed the counter sniper, but I'm not sure I know the answer.
The counter sniper didn't take a shot until after the assassin attempted to shoot the former president. He got off 8 shots before the counter sniper shot at the shooter. What's with that? Can you get that fixed?
Well, I really want to be careful not to be, given the scope of our investigation, somehow second-guessing the very difficult act and decision it takes for a counter-sniper to kill another human being in that situation. Yeah. It's all happening in seconds. So
8 shots.
Yeah.
And that was after he'd been seen for 20 minutes.
Director, that's an important question, though, because you've talked to the counter-sniper. And that, I mentioned this in our opening statement, that critical 5 minutes from 6:09 to 6:14, and what takes place there is critical, and I think that's what the gentleman was getting at, and we were hopeful that you could tell us something about your interview with the counter sniper.
Yeah, I guess I want to distinguish a couple things. There is some individual, not law enforcement, I believe, who spotted the shooter on the roof a few minutes before. But I think law enforcement spotting him with the weapon on the roof is seconds before the shot.
Okay, so that's important.
Yeah, so I think there's two different things.
I think what you're saying is it wasn't maybe that if the bad guy shoots at 6:11, then you're saying this encounter with local law enforcement that Mr. Benson was just getting into happened just seconds before that, and maybe not 2 minutes before that.
That's my understanding. That, in other words, that there's different things here. There's an individual, at least one individual I can think of, not law enforcement, member of the public, who observed him on the roof. Not clear whether or not the individual saw a weapon or not. Saw him in a way that was concerning. That is some number of, not many, but like just a handful of minutes. It's separate from that as far as law enforcement goes in terms of a weapon. this local officer that we just talked about observed the individual, again, literally just seconds before the shooter took his shots. Separate and apart from all of that, roughly, I think, maybe a little less than, or around an hour before the shooting, there were local law enforcement officers who observed the shooter, not up on the roof, not with a weapon, but with I believe, a rangefinder, kind of like you would use if you were playing golf or something, in a way that was odd and suspicious.
This gun sucks, bro.
Local law enforcement, but in terms of shooter,
Gun is so fucking bad.
With the weapon, law enforcement.
I'm leveling it because I'm hoping there's better attachments for it, but I'm not hopeful.
Climbing up on the roof, seconds. Again, we want that timeline. The committee wants that timeline and communications that were taking place in that short period of time.
Again, as I've said with everything else, I really want to be careful. I'm leaning in, trying to share as much as I can here. Facts are evolving, things may change, but we are working on a timeline level.
The committee will stand in recess until after the Prime Minister's remarks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with us in this hearing. What do we make of this? So, as I'm sitting here listening in, I'm looking for information. And here's what I will surrender to Christopher Wray's testimony. And it's not a high bar. We got way more than we got from Cheadle. Cheadle's resigned. That doesn't make this go away. She should still be charged criminally.
We are going. They're going to go on break for a while, so we'll mute them.
The goal of this program is to get criminal charges for manslaughter for Corey Comprentor, for criminal negligence that could have led to manslaughter. I'm not sure what the legal terms of that were, but other individuals were shot.
Just a lot of playlist updates today.
Some of them with obviously life-threatening injuries, a bullet going through your head, which is what happened to President Trump. The goal is to charge someone. I want people to spend the rest of their lives in jail.
I agree with him.
Kim Cheadle in jail.
I agree with him. Most people need to go to jail.
Christopher Wray does not oversee the Secret Service. Yet Christopher Wray told us an enormous amount of more detail than the lady who's in charge of the damn Secret Service, who, by the way, got an absolute salting of the earth, napalming, and blistering destruction of her career.
I already have the battle pass.
Will go down in history as one of the most incompetent DEI bureaucrats ever to be known in the public arena. You'll notice like a different tonality in the questioning here. Is that merited? Well, the FBI has been complete and total deep state scum for a long time, but did the FBI engage in failures here? I've looked at the structures, unlike Hank Johnson, who thinks Guam can tip over if too many FBI agents
What the fuck happened? It's the second time they've done this to me.
And no, it is not the FBI's responsibility to do protection services for Donald Trump at these rallies. That is not Christopher Wray's responsibility. The FBI is going in and doing a cleanup operation, and so therefore, here's what we learned.
I'm going to go back and watch the stream.
Presumably, because there were 8 shell casings. I would like to see photos of that, but let's take that on its face. Many videos show between 7 and 8 rounds fired, so that seems to comport with the video evidence that we have. We now have probably a dozen different camera angles for this. The guy was a loner. The guy was somebody who didn't have any contacts stored in his phone, yet was susceptible potentially to these operations, to push these people over the edge. Who's running those operations? I'm not sure. But you're going to tell me that this guy made his own bombs by himself? Don't think so. You're going to tell me that this guy was making bombs by himself? His parents didn't know about it? Don't think so. According to reports, there was no silverware in the home. The home was meticulously clean. It seems like this guy was already a head case. Yet the father kept unguarded and unlocked firearms inside of the house. This individual was searching for Lee Harvey Oswald. This is what we learned today. Lee Harvey Oswald distances to kill Kennedy. Then he's allowed to go get a ticket for the Trump rally. All right. And then, of course, as Christopher Wray just noted, people inside of the crowd saw him with the firearm climbing up on the rooftop. We've played you those clips. And police officers didn't take him out. The snipers saw him. The snipers didn't take him out. I think that's, I mean, we're starting to, like, build the pressure into the real question there. The real question is, why didn't the sniper shoot?
That is the real
Snipers saw
question.
him. We've played you footage from the sniper nest, and this program will be going there to find out. Okay? What else did we find out from Christopher Wray? Well, we found out more than we did from Cheadle. About the guy's background, about who he was, about how many, what firearms he was using, a collapsible stock. He had a backpack on, so presumably he had the firearm in his backpack in a collapsible capacity. I want photos of the firearm. I want photos of the bullet casings. I want photos of the full crime scene. When we have them, of course, we'll bring them onto this program as best as we can to show you. There are obviously rules against grotesque scenes that we can and cannot show. But this is important, ladies and gentlemen. It is important to get to the truth. Was it better than Cheadle? Yes. This testimony was because he had less to hide, because his agency, the FBI,
Was he hiding there the whole time? I didn't see him.
Right? So he has less to hide, so he can throw anyone he wants.
Was he hiding there the whole time?
Was it a cleanup operation for the deep state? Totally.
That was crazy. How did he not see me go in the door?
He didn't answer direct questions about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. He did say that Kamala Harris is often in the briefings with Joe Biden, and that he hasn't had a briefing with Joe Biden, sometimes in months, in a very long time. Matt Gaetz asking some very good questions on that front. Is it satisfactory? Of course not. No. Was this satisfactory? No. Are there massive questions left? Yes. And that's why we're going. We're going to Butler, Pennsylvania. We're going this week. We're going with members of Congress, and we're going because of you. We care about you. We care about this viewership so very much. You give us the energy, the power to go to these places, and we are going to absorb that energy. We're going to listen to you. Hop in the chat. Make your comments. I have screens in front of me with the comment sections for every social media. For every single social media platform that we broadcast on. We read them. We respond to them often in real time.
The entire team was where I died. The entire fucking team, my guys. Come on.
As best we can. We're going to use all of the muscle and all of the leverage.
They're running together now.
Very, very
Smart.
very you watching this show
gives smarter than your average team. That's what I should have said.
Gives us some recognition, especially in the halls of Congress. We making this show big and bigger, and as we have grown quite exponentially and parabolically.
Fuck, man, I don't know what was going on. I felt like I was getting pushed from behind.
That allows us to get better guests. You subscribing allows us to get better guests and resources to go do this work. And so it's you that we thank. Do you want to get to the bottom of it? We are your agent. We can go, and we are going to go. It is our responsibility, actually. And so we just want to, on a very personal level, say thank you. Corey Compertor is a man who subscribed to this channel. He is a firefighter, father, and dear patriot who lost his life, who we should be remembering. There should be a memorial for him, actually, in those hearing rooms. And everybody should have lionized and remembered him with their opening statements. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be fighting for that America. We'll be fighting for Corey in our work here. And we'll be thanking you for tuning in and for giving us the capacity and the energy to go do this. And we are going to go. We are. Stay tuned. So, without delay, here is our verse of the day from Psalms 21. Though they plot evil against you and devise wicked schemes, they cannot succeed. I was talking with a friend as I was getting in my car today to go to work. My buddy was walking down that sidewalk. And you live in your neighborhood, you get to know people. And they're like, what's up today? And I was like, man, the FBI hearing Christopher Wray. And he's like, man, we live in crazy times. I was like, we live in biblical times, all right? That can only be understood through a spiritual prism of good versus evil, darkness versus light. And if you read the scriptures, you realize
fuck,
that
I slid too
it's
far.
not up for us to worry and
stop doing that.
to rend our garments or to wring our hands over all this and to not be able to sleep at night. In fact, peace is a sign of you being saved. You should have peace. You have peace in the knowledge that Christ is King. That He's the Son of God. And that the wicked and the evil on this earth, when they plot to kill President Trump, when they plot to do all manner of evil things, they will not succeed. And cannot succeed. It's a great verse. Cannot succeed. It's awesome. So walk forward in that energy, and in the energy that you get from salt and light. We haven't salted lives on this program in quite a while. It's some very serious shows. We hope to get back into the sort of the meme energy, but with these serious topics, man, they are deadly serious. We're gonna go in. We thank you for watching. God bless you. March with us on to victory. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Benny. See ya.
How did that guy miss that? Okay, I don't know what just happened to the stream. I think it's going to be down for a while they give the speech. YouTube. Yeah, so they're going to be down for a while. We'll cut this off. It'll be back up shortly when they get out of there's a speech by the Israeli Prime Minister. And then after that they'll be back. Then we'll finish catching it. Ain't no fucking way. All three of them are down that hallway. I am not doing so hot. Oh, good shit. I got good shit. See, there's ways to defend the riot shield. Like, you don't have to let me kill you. Three versus one. They're all in that back corner where I just died. Dude, he's sitting right there behind that fucking box.
Mission is complete.
Time is it? All right, guys. We've been going for about 3 hours. I think I'm gonna take a break and eat some lunch until they come back on with the fucking rest of the speech or the rest of the hearing, and then I will hop back on and we will continue from there. It should be probably, my guess is probably about 90 minutes. All right, guys. I'm gonna hop out of here for a minute. I'll be back. Peace.